you might be wondering why you were listening to silence for 35 seconds of that, and that would be because I'm an idiot and I forgot to turn on the audio on it. I was like, and it wasn't until Trinidad said something, I'm like, oh, there's no audio. Okay, well, this is my art photo. This is my art film version of this, okay? You don't need silence. You don't need sound. You just need silence to focus in, everyone, on this. My apologies for the lack of sound. Welcome, everybody, to Day 61 of Adventures in Middle-earth Wilderland Adventures, called The Watch on the Heath. This is the closing chapter, the closing portion of this, and I am excited to have everyone with us today, where there will be sound, I promise. Excited to have everyone with us today as we continue into the wild, because there's going to be some crazy stuff happening, I think, today during our session. Before we move on, though, I do want to remind people about a couple of things that are important to keep in mind about the stream. If you have not done so already, please make sure to follow the channel here. Please make sure to check out the YouTube channel with !ArvTube. Please make sure to check out my Twitter with !ArvTweets. That is always appreciated, and please retweet this stream. !ArvCord will get you over to my Discord channel where you can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams. That is always appreciated. And you can find all of that on my website, arvaneleron.com. On the financial side of things, !ArvShop will allow you to get over to my merchandise area where you can get Adventures in Middle-earth merchandise with Terry Toon's amazing illustrations. You will see some of us actually sporting those shirts today, so you will be able to see for yourself how wonderful they look. And of course, we also have Infinity and Beyond merchandise there too, my campaign which is playing Curse of Strahd, and which will continue that campaign on Saturday, and we will soon have Esper Genesis material up there for sale as well. All of that supports the channel. !ArvTreon is the Patreon, currently sitting at 313. Again, would love to see that move north of that number. The higher what that we get, the more I'm able to supplement and do other stuff for the channel. Just got a second PC for streaming purposes, basically a gaming PC to go along with my streaming PC, which will improve even more the quality of video game streams, and also doing other things to kind of improve the quality of the tabletop streams too. So all of that makes a difference, and I really appreciate it if you can jump aboard and help us out with that. Plus, you get cool stuff for yourself and cool stuff for the channel, including the inspirations which you can use to inspire the players. You ordered this with a side of babbling. Do you think that that's what I'm doing, Kitra? Do I sound to you as if I am babbling? I think that I am being completely coherent and in every respect being totally straight ahead and all that. I see how that goes. But that is the deal with the Patreon. On the so shop, Patreon, and the sub button, of course, which is that sub button right above the video window. I already saw a couple of people jumped on board, including Animus Maelstrom. Congratulations, by the way, on the birth of your newborn. And I'm happy you're able to catch a little of this live. But thank you, Animus. And you too can jump on board and resub. We're sitting at about 45 subs right now at last count. So anyone who's able to jump on board can really help us out with those custom sub badges and emotes and things like that as well. Plus, again, you can also inspire the players, and that is all very lovely. And then the last thing to mention is the publishing stuff. I was just at Boscone this past weekend for the first time in Boston, which was great. I really had a good time there. I had a chance to do a couple of impromptu live streams from there, and it was just great. It really was a lot of fun. The family came with me, and I love Boston anyway, so it was a good time. But I also had a chance to talk to some folks about various publishing ventures, and so Icarus will let you check out my graphic novels, Icarus and Jelinek, coming out in May. Library is my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, which is already out. You can get it on DriveThruRPG via PDF, or you can get it in print coming in about 3 to 4 weeks, because that's coming from Texas and not China. Everybody babbles to you. Okay. That's also coming from China, not coming from China, and I'll talk about the impact of that in a moment on another project, but you can find that over at, again, Library. And then last but certainly not least, Grayshade KS, and I do want to just quickly say about that, there may be a couple of delays. My hope is still by the end of the month to announce a Kickstarter date happening in late March, but we are somewhat delayed because that company, as most game companies do, use warehouses in China, and given the current situation with the coronavirus, the factory stuff in China has been slowed way down. So as a result, that is basically why we may have a couple of delays in terms of getting that out to them. There's nothing we can do about that, unfortunately. We have to make sure we know what the production schedule is before we start claiming that we're going to do a Kickstarter about it. So we need to wait a little bit. Hopefully the delay will not be substantial. It's certainly not going to be something I expect to go much beyond a week or so, but it is possible that there will be a little bit of that. So GRAYSHADEKS will get you over to my tweet about this, and more details about that. Thank you, Arunel. More details about that coming soon. Again, I'm sorry that I haven't been able to announce it yet, but this thing in China is a thing, and it's one of the reasons why it's a problem when everything sort of relies on another country to be able to see how things are going down. That's one reason why having the Texas printer for Alligator Alley Entertainment means that we don't have to worry about that when it came to Tales and Tomes from Forbidden Library, fortunately. But that is unfortunately the case with the other situation, so we will do the best we can, and my apologies up front. Schedules going forward. We've got Wilderland Adventures going on now. This afternoon at 4 p.m., we'll be over at GOG with some D&D with GOG, Storm King's Thunder. I am looking forward to that. And I also should mention that at the end of the session today, we will be taking the final vote on the Patreon-fueled Chat Chosen Game of the Month, which I will be playing next week. And as of right now, the winner of that straw poll is right now, Heroes of Might and Magic 3 is slightly ahead of Metal Gear Solid 3, which is ahead of Growlancer 2. So you can get in your votes right now to see which one it is that I'm going to be playing. I will be closing that vote down at the end of the session today. So you've got until the end of our session in a couple of hours to be able to do that. And the last thing that I want to mention is that there is a possibility, I have not yet fully confirmed this, but we may have an Our Vocalist session going tonight. Now, part of that is going to depend on one person that is uncertain if they will be able to make it. If they can't make it, then we probably will not do it tonight. If they can, then we will. So as soon as I have further details about that, I will let all of you lovely people know. Then on Wednesday, tomorrow evening, we have got more Dragon of Icespire Peak. And again, subject to confirmation, on Thursday, the rescheduled Rambo Academy for Wayward Writers class. On Friday, I will be probably broadcasting live from the book party at Farpoint. There is a basically book party type thing like we had at Bosco this past weekend. I will be up there. I'll be down in Baltimore on Friday for that. And then, so I'll be broadcasting there on Friday night. And then Saturday evening, we've got Curse of Strahd, which I will do live from the hotel with the power of Arvbox 2.0. So that's what we've got going on. Exactly, Arunel. I know. I was thinking exactly about that. We got to make sure that we quarantine the people, but the goods, the money must flow, right? The spice must flow. Anyway, but that's the deal with that, so on we go from there. But that said, it is time for us to introduce the amazing players of the Adventures of Middle-earth crew, and so I have unmuted myself so they know that we are ready to go, and then I have unmuted them, and last but certainly not least, I'm going to go over to them because, unlike my intro music, they are not muted. So they will be able to be heard going forward. You can hear them right now. But hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. And I will start, as I always do, with the gentleman right below me and the screen, but not below us in our hearts. And that is the inimitable Trendane Sparks. Hello, Trend. How is life with you? You can see that Trend is fired up. He's ready to go. He is. This is Trend's excited face, and you can see that he's ready to make it happen.
Yeah.
Hi,
bring my shirt.
Shirt. Wait, isn't it backwards?
Oh yeah, you are wearing your shirt backwards, Trent.
Trent, I'm playing Tiny Bear. I'll be back in a minute.
So I would have noticed earlier, but he was like, sort of hunched over, and I didn't see.
That's really funny. Yeah, Robar's royalty will hopefully be revealed to us. We don't have Will yet. As far as I know, Will should be here, so hopefully Will join us, and that things have not gone terribly wrong somewhere in Georgia. But there we go. That's more like it. That's what I'm talking about. Go. But yes, so normally you can find him. He's an Encounter Roleplay. He also runs the Kobold Press channel as well. And so yes, I hopefully will get Will in here soon. But in the meantime, I'll return back up to Trendane, who has got his shirt on exactly the right way, exactly as he meant to. A voice actor is never late or with his shirt off in the wrong direction. How are you, Trent? Besides playing those things, how are you? How's life, the universe, and everything?
Tired. I made the mistake. Well, admittedly, there were several mistakes.
Mistakes were made.
Yeah, I was recording during the night while it was nice and quiet, and around 5 a.m. I thought, okay, that's good. That'll do for now, and I've got 2 hours. Oh shit! And then I realized I've only got 2 hours until the thing starts. So I went out to Jack in the Box to get breakfast, thinking, it'll be fine. And I got back and looked at the clock, and I was like, "Where is everybody? Why aren't they?" And then I looked at the calendar and realized, oh, we're starting at 9. But by that point, it was almost 7, so it was still 2 hours away, and I still couldn't. You didn't have time to take a nap. So, yeah.
I had this horrible premonition that this exact thing was going to happen for you specifically. It was just like, oh no, what if like this thing, which is ostensibly supposed to make it easier for Tren to like wake up or sleep alternately, actually makes things horribly worse because it is just a one-off where it is at noon.
But on the plus side, the date I was supposed to go on tonight has been canceled, so I've got plenty of time to sleep, apparently.
Oh.
Wait,
boo!
Yeah, boo.
Is that a plus?
I mean, he goes on dates when you can just play D&D with your friends, right?
That's true. Truly the superior endeavor.
I'd love to pursue romance, but instead I must pursue dice rolls, so I shall return. Oh, well,
roll for seduction.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hopefully that person is watching right now and realizing what a terrible mistake they made in canceling their date.
He's not, but he does know.
Okay.
Arf, you need to introduce a boyfriend for Tawny to make up for this.
Okay. I will make sure I do that. It's the clearest example of pandering. Wandering through the heath, you see in the distance another Bjorning, and
the problem is we've never addressed Tawny's sexuality. We don't know whether he's gay or not.
Right. So I might do that, and I might horribly offend Tawny. Right? That
just like Weller in my other D&D our other D&D campaign.
Yeah.
We don't know what Weller's sexuality is.
That's because they assumed because of Fifely, who who was gay, so they assumed, therefore, You
can remove me from the group now because I had the worst thought ever. It was just like, Tawny has a sheep, it's fine.
Wow.
That is...
Wow.
Oh, no.
It's terrible.
I'll see myself out. Bye.
I mean, while we're going down this road,
do we?
We're really not.
Well, how about we U-turn from the road?
I
was going to say,
no. I'm just gonna say that at least Tolkien's world is one where obviously the Bjornings are able to communicate with animals, and so actually, you have the possibility of a consensual relationship in this regard. So I'm just gonna put that out there. It's not as
yeah.
Nah.
I hate everything. It's
2 times. That means yes. Okay.
Jesus, what is wrong with... All right, listen.
Remember the part I said a few minutes ago about not going down this road?
Oh my God. Pull over the wool over people's eyes. All right, I'm going to move on to this.
You leave the path.
Yeah, exactly.
Anymore. We can't get away with stuff like that.
We left the path. That's the real problem. Oh my gosh. The people who are going, they're like, what a lovely session we had last time. How lovely we come in. Oh, it's bestiality jokes. That's great. That's outstanding. I can see. This is what happens when everyone turns 5.
This is where Will joins the call and turns and immediately disconnects.
He does the Blues Brothers nun, just like backs off.
Right, exactly.
The Grandpa Simpson just kind of walk in, walk out.
Walk right back out. Oh man, the best gift. Anyway, it is a pleasure to have Tren with us. Tren is playing Tawny Bear, as he already said, and you will also see more of Tren, presumably more awake, on Saturday when we will be doing our Infinity and Beyond stuff, and that is getting crazy because they're heading into the mountains, and there's just crazy. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I've been loving all of where all the campaigns are right now. It's really great. Anyway, you'll see more of them down the line. But I already talked about Will, so I'll move right down to Terry Toons, who is responsible for all this. I'd like to thank her for her play and welcome her to her final session on the... No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. But no, it is always a pleasure to have Terry with us. How are you, Terry, other than in a giggly mood? Besides that, how are you otherwise?
Well, I was very tired when we started calling, but I finished a cup of coffee since then, so now I'm horribly giggly and hyper. So that's a thing. I am playing Inge, daughter of Ida, who found out that her mom is really sick last session, and it was so much fun. Oh, did we have fun last session? Did we laugh? We laughed.
Yes,
No.
we
Then
did.
tears were flowing.
There were definitely two. I actually brought. I should mention, by the way, Terry, that I that subject came up this weekend because I was on a panel about game mastering and narrative, and this was on Friday with Austin Havershaw, some other folks, and so we were talking about a bunch of different things, and there was the moderator asked this question about. Have there been situations where, you know, an example that you want to give of where game stuff has spilled out into kind of real life consequences and overlaps? And I'm like, yeah, and it just happened. And I talked a little bit about our session and about, you know, your and my connection with our parents. And because this is something you brought up on the session, so it wasn't something I felt like I was talking out of school. And so I gave the whole, and I talked about how it was a privilege to watch it, and it was like really powerful. And I wasn't, you know, I had felt that it was the right thing to do, but I wasn't sure, but I was glad it worked out. So I went through that whole thing. And then the person next to me is like, well, I can't, I don't know what to do after that story. There was this time once when really bad, because they're just sort of like, I don't, that's, wow. Like, it's just this bad. I'm like, I didn't mean to bring everything down. They're like, no, it's just great. Like, they were all super like sad and poignant and all that stuff. So I was like, well, you know, anyway, so I talked very favorably, obviously, about how well you handled that. So this came up this weekend.
Oh, well, I mean, there's like good sad and bad sad, I would say. You know, it's like...
Yeah.
I guess what they call wistful.
I expect that we'll have some sadness today, but not that level. I would guess not. And at least not with the personal punch quite so much, would be my guess. So.
Yeah. Well, no spoilers, please.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm playing Inge, daughter of Ida. She is a dwarf. Her mom is not dying, I think, I hope.
She's trying to save her.
Tony's effort.
Yeah.
And she is a wanderer and a stonemason, and she has a trusty pony sidekick, whose name is Lilleman.
Who I've been told is also not dying.
Yes.
Yeah.
He will never die.
On very good authority.
You should just do some magic and turn your mom into a pony temporarily, and just like have her protected by plot armor as a consequence.
Wow,
that's a pony.
You assume plot armor. I eventually am just gonna make Lillimon to some terrible monster called Lillimon the Undying, and like, you know, just this like Lillimon the Undying came out of the Shadowlands differently than he entered. You know.
No.
So.
Oh God, are we taking Lillimon to the Withered Heath?
Yes, he's your pack pony. You can't keep him in bubble wrap inside a mountain. Like, it's like, you risk Stone every day. Every day.
But Stone actually is a fighter. Stone actually is a competent. Like,
are you saying Lillimon is
pony incompetent?
a combatant. A combatant. Yes.
She's advocating for sheep consent, and the next thing we know, ponies though, like this, you know.
Look, y'all. Anyway, I'm just trying to protect your pony. That's all I'm trying to do, and it's true. And you know, risking Stone is a very difficult, terrible, bad, awful thing.
Yeah, but like anyway, Lillimon like carries all our heavy crap. So like, what's the whole idea?
How much heavy crap do we have? I don't know.
Stuff.
No, you especially for journeys. I mean, like, you know,
whole
food
wheels
and
of
packs
cheese.
and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I have like how many wheels of cheese in my inventory? Let me check.
The wheels of cheese. So, but it's always a pleasure to have Terry with us and have Inge, daughter of Ida, with us, and I cannot wait to see how Inge handles things. So,
two wheels of cheese.
These are big wheels, though. All right, big wheel. These are
ponies on wheels.
I've seen these cheese wheels, and they're
wheels on ponies.
Yeah, exactly. Wheels on ponies. Always a pleasure to have Terry with us. Also a pleasure, as always, to have Amal with us, who is enjoying her blissful week off where she doesn't have any work or marking to do or anything that's school related, that's, you know, her job at all, right? That's not.
Yeah, it's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything is great. How are you, Amal, otherwise?
I'm actually okay. Things are okay. They're fine. There's some weather happening. There's quite a lot of weather happening, but it's generally okay. I'm really glad to have the break from teaching this week, even though the break from teaching just means that there is more time for all of the other work. So
that you can't do while you're teaching. Yes.
that I can't do while I'm teaching. So so that's okay. But yeah, no, things are pretty good. I I slightly somewhat wish that the no, nothing. I can't say anything. Never mind. I was gonna say something that actually is ill-advised that I can't say. So never mind. But
Wow. Now you could just
things are
speculate
good.
about that, chat.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, that's fine. Never mind. Just gonna leave that be. Succeed at my stealth check and or something. So anyway, I am and I'm fine. Still sort of missing my husband who is still abroad, and I'm sad about that. But hopefully in a week's time he will be returned here, and that will be nice. But right. Anyway, so I play this lady, River. I've tried to do my hair like her today with mixed results.
Nice.
But yes, so the River is a woodsman of Rosgobel. She is a fighty bard with cool axes that have become even cooler since last session. And she is accompanied by her faithful hound Stone, who is armored in plot and love and is great.
The
Awesome.
The sort of self-declaration of plot armor is an interesting phenomenon.
No,
and
I'm just. I mean, look, I would be so. I mean, he's such a good dog. He's just so good.
I
Look at him.
understand.
We will
Look at
not
his
end
face.
up on doesthedogdie.org, okay?
Yeah, let's keep us off of there, please.
I
Yeah.
have this image of like the last sequence is just all of you are face down in the dirt and Lillimon and Stone dragging themselves across the dusty landscape, and you're like, "Welcome to Despairville!" Like Adventures
I
in
mean,
Despair.
wasn't that literally the last battle? Wasn't it literally like Stone, last one standing
Yeah.
over
Oh,
our
yeah.
bodies?
That's
trying...
true. With like a horde of orcs just sort of running. No, it's 100% true. Yes, except
I'm
that
very glad I
Lillimon was
wasn't here for
safely.
that.
Lillimon was just in a stable chewing sugar cubes, fully safely while being pampered by dwarves. That's how that went down. So,
Cool.
But that'll be different this time. But it is a great pleasure, in all seriousness, to have everyone here, and let us get to it. So no peaceful garden music today. Instead, it's time for some ominous music.
Oh no.
There we go.
Ominous.
I'm such a big fan of the Air Prelude by Kevin MacLeod.
Oh, there's another word that I used to mispronounce all the time.
What prelude?
Prelude?
Like, I always thought it was omnious, not ominous.
Oh,
Like that it was an extra I.
Actually, for today, ominous is omnious for reasons that I will describe.
what?
Wait, omnious is also a word?
No,
No.
I'm totally making that up. I just had this idea. Omni refers to sort of all,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And so I was thinking about the fact that the ominous quality will be omnipresent, basically, as you're looking around these things. So,
Let's make it a
welcome
word.
to part 2 of Watch on the Heath, which is called here, I don't normally do this, but Across the Trackless Waste, just because I really want to establish what we're talking about here. So, on the day after the, if you may remember, the thing that we did in our last session mostly involved Inga having a chance to have a reunion with her father and mother. She discovered, as Terry mentioned, that her mother Ida was indeed very sick with something called rock fever, except that this rock fever, which is unusual in this day and age from when the game is set, it is more common with dwarves, but it always has an element of shadow associated with it. And one of the things that both Inga and certainly Tani was able to determine is that this illness was definitely not fully naturally occurring. There was an emotional component to it, and this sense of a weight, the same kind of weight that Inga has felt, and other members of the party, but in particular Inga so far, has felt weighing her down. Apparently it had an impact on her mother as well. And so her mother, who was normally vibrant and fiery and, get up and go, was not in that state as Inga arrived. But as the discussion sort of continued, Inga's father, Hafir, was able to talk to her a little bit about what he thought was the possible chances for her. And the assumption was that if the party can go forth and deal with this shadow that has been pressing upon all of Wilderland, not just the individual family members, that there might be a chance to save her. And so, as if she needed any more motivation, with renewed motivation and a little bit of hope, because I would remind everybody that Inga did lose a shadow point last time because I believe of the rivers. I don't
No,
actually.
because Tony
because of
got
the pipeweed,
yeah,
Oh, because of the
pipeweed
hagweed.
from,
Yes, that's right. Thank you. Yes,
from,
because of the
I mean,
hagweed. Because
I
of the
will
hagweed.
say, I mean, you know, River.
You did play
River
a song
assist.
too. I mean,
Yeah,
yes, absolutely.
Scored an assist there.
But I should give credit to the hagweed though, because it was such a big deal to try to get the bloody hagweed before that. So the party was able to use that, and so Inga's shadow points ticked down by a notch, and it's a good thing because as that in-game happened right before the forging of the various weapons and the work that Tani did to try to track down the location of this watchtower. As the party is prepared or getting prepared for things, on the morning of the day that they will prepare, they are brought up to the first level of the mountain and then out by the northern door by Ori himself. And the northern door, I should mention, and if you look at the map right there, you will see it. The northern door is a postern gate which was only recently opened after some 150 years buried under fallen stones. And in fact, Inga, you are not familiar with this door being open because it is so recent that you've been gone since they actually cleared it away. And the view from the mountain's northern flank is not nearly as pleasant as the view from the front gate. Instead of the lights of Dale, the green valley, the bright waters of the river running away into the south, you look out here onto miles of empty, trackless wasteland. And beyond the waste, far to the north, you can see a dark ridge of mountain peaks, the Gray Mountains. And that, of course, is your destination. In the Gray Mountains, you can see, as I have positioned up here, Zirakinbar, which is the name of the watchtower where you believe, or at least the name of the place where the watchtower was built. You believe. This is assuming that you've done your guesses right, but you, Tani, are fairly convinced that this is correct based upon the work that both you and the Munin, I believe, was the one who gave you the suggestions. Yes, Munin. You and Munin were fairly confident that that's the actual place where the watchtower can be found. And so as you're looking out on these Gray Mountains, Ori says, "Well, good luck. I rather wish I was going with you. You might see a dragon along your quest. You may not believe it, but during our adventure I never laid my eyes upon Smaug, and some people from Lake Town described his wrath as being terrible and beautiful at the same time. Is that not strange? Well, good luck and safe travels. If I came back safe from my journey, I have no doubt you can do the same." And he kind of bows low. Say again? Sorry, Don.
So you could come with us.
I could, but the king has asked that I remain. There's a lot of work still to be done around here, and some of these dwarves can't be trusted with their own hammers. And he kind of chuckles and he says, "Beyond that, though, I would give you this one bit of warning. Everyone's told you how dangerous the waste is, and it's true. But what you may find when you're in the midst of it is the real danger is not what's around you, but what's inside you. Remember those moments. You got some light as well as shadow, and I'd ask you look towards the light rather than the darkness. But that's an old dwarf talking." And he kind of bows slightly and steps back a couple of paces. Now, one mechanical thing I want to bring up before we do our little journey introduction or embarkation roll and all that kind of stuff is that this is for you, Tani. You have been given, remember, this book to bring with you. And what I wanted to point out is that this book, you have been told on good authority, has got many secrets that would include secrets that might be found about the tower. Mechanically, what that means is that you can try to read the book while traveling at night. And one of the peculiar properties of the book is that the book cannot be read during daylight hours. It can only be read in campfire light, or torchlight. And so what that means is that you can read it at night to try to gather information. The good news about this is that you can make a lore check, and if you succeed, you will get some valuable piece of information. The bad news is that every time you do that, very appropriate to your current feeling, you don't get a chance to rest, and that means that you will suffer a level of exhaustion. So you will need to consider balancing out getting secrets about the watchtower, levels of exhaustion. I know you have the honey cakes, which can help with that, but just think about all of that, because all of that is going to come into play as you engage in this trip, which is going to take probably about 7 to 8 days would be your guess to get across the waste. So just be aware of that, and let me know when you stop, Tren, if you want Tani to, this is a night that I want him to do the, studying or whatever the case may be. So questions from the party before we do the embarkation roll and get cruising here.
And this is part of my own tiredness, which has nothing, which is not a patch on trends, obviously, but our objective with this tower is what? Like, I mean, it's just in terms of the things that we want to learn about the watchtower and stuff like that. Like, are we going there to fight and defeat something? Are we going there to get more information? That's like, I've forgotten.
Right. So and also hi, Ninth Pawn, and hello, Carol.
Ninth Pawn joined us last time.
That's right. Welcome back.
Right.
So I didn't say. I was looking what that other badge was. It's an Elder Scrolls Online badge. Nice. I was like, what is that badge?
Very nice.
So yes, the basic reason that you were going there, two reasons really. The first is that this is the best lead that you've had on the plot that led to the poisoning of the warriors, because remember that Bannock actually came to talk to the dwarves about this and specifically tore out the page with this information. So the first thing is the fact that since you don't know, Bannock obviously disappeared and Lockmond is now dead, his brother. This is the best sort of lead you have in terms of what might have happened, why he was going there. And the second reason is that this was specifically relating to, it is in the waste, it is in the Grey Mountains, it looks out upon the dragons, and the thought is that there is some association perhaps with the shadow that has been facing all of you, and that is confirmed again by the whole Bannock interest. So that was the main reason that you were going there. What you're going to do when you get there is way up in the air, because you have no idea. It could be there's a big bad creature to defeat. It could be that you have to, I don't know, take over the fortress and open a grocery store. I mean, you have no idea what's going to actually be involved when you get there. But, so, yeah.
Cool. Okay. One thing I want River to have done before embarking is to write a series of letters.
Okay.
Like, she will want to have written letters to her parents, to Ash, and to Radagast, just sort of keeping them all up to date with what is going on, where they're going, and to say that we're going to be returning here, hopefully, when all's well. So to say to send letters care of, I expect River will have worked this out with Inga to see if, like, can I send letters care of your parents or something like that.
Yep, and they have people that are going back relatively regularly between east and west. They're obviously fewer at the moment because of the whole attack and all that, but they will be sending people out there. Also, the king has already promised, Dane has promised to send people out to help Robar's people in the northwest, in the western Vales. So that's also, another trip that will be taken out there. So yeah.
Okay.
All right, letters will be sent. I think we already talked about what Inga was doing. Tani, did you have any other, or because you had told me last time about some of the stuff you wanted to do, but you can tell me if there's other stuff you wanted to prepare.
No, I'm just
fine.
about planning this trip, like which route we are gonna take and stuff.
Right. Hold on to that. That we're gonna do in a second. That's part of the trip. I just meant anything else in the mountain, but I think the mountain stuff.
Then, I guess when saying goodbye to Wori, then Inga would do the whole. I can't think of a better word than bro hug thing, where you do the thing with the hands.
Yep.
And then hug.
Right.
Yeah, does that thing, and it's thank you so much for your help, and
with the pat on the back, the
the whole
pat.
thing.
Yeah.
And
Ori does that. Is happy to do so.
And it's if you can't spare the time, please do me a favor and go check up on my parents once in a while I'm gone.
And nods, and Ori nods and says, "I will do what I can. They're strong people, your parents. You know this already, Inga, but make sure that you do what you can to keep going forward. That's what they'd want. In the meantime, we'll do what we can to look after them."
I'll do even more than that.
Okay. He nods solemnly. Are you cool then before we talk about journey? Okay. Tani, what about you? Anything else you wanted to prep before we talk about the journey specifically?
No, he's probably just been focusing on making sure that he's got as much information secured as he possibly can. The only other thing he might do is try to refresh his stock of healing herbs.
Okay.
So that, because he figures there's probably not going to be a whole lot growing where we're going.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be called what it is.
That would be
Yes.
accurate.
Is it possible before we embark to, ask? I know that the stock of hagweed that was there was like ancient, which presumes that there isn't a whole lot of it growing nearby and stuff. But is it possible to say, like, to ask where was this found initially, and can we try to take a look before we embark for more?
Yeah, what they tell you is that actually where it used to be found was a lot not far from Selduin, actually, where you were looking on the other side of that river. Whether or not, though, they'll be able to find anything there now is unclear. That area has now been somewhat despoiled by the Gibbet King's army. And although, plants and herbs are hardy and will make their return given time, it probably, first of all, it's pretty far away. And secondly, it's probably not going to be in condition to be harvested and kind of dried in the way that this was, carefully in time for you to leave. Although it should be said that in certain places, in Mirkwood certainly, there are many places within the growing areas of the world where this stuff could probably be found, but it's just not something that's very accessible to most civilized folk. So where they gathered this was down near Selduin, but again, not something that they would expect to find at the moment anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that said, you are able to restock most of your healing herbs. I assume that you were bringing along, you were obviously had access to be able to bake some honey cakes. The dwarves do have some good ovens, you'll be not shocked to hear, to go along with their forges. And so you were able to make some of those, which again, may be necessary depending on how things work as you go across the Withered Heath. What I would like now is we set up our roles here. So, and then we'll set up our roles, and I'll figure out then we'll talk about the path, Terry, and then we'll move into that section of things. So, yes.
Like, the path is relevant for the road store, I think.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because of, like, the known lands that Robar and I have.
I see.
Yes.
Well, okay, so the options that are available to you are as follows. You can see the dotted line is the path that has been recommended to you by the dwarves, and the reason is that it is essentially the most direct. If you went to, and I will draw this out and I'll erase these in a moment. If you went this way, let's say that you went straight, pretty straight like that, right? So you didn't go up and over. The problem that you have there is it means that you cut across the lands, then you move into the Northern Dale lands. But the Northern Dale lands also have more topographical obstacles that you have to deal with. It's basically going to slow you down. And more importantly, it gets you farther to the western side. So right around here-ish is where there is particularly a lot of goblins that might eventually end up going over to Gundabad to the west and so forth. So like the kind of goblin and orc presence is much more severe here than it is over here. This path is one that the dwarves have used for centuries, in part because they have secret ways that cause them to be much less accessible to goblins and orcs. So if you basically went left first and went more directly, A, you have the topographical problems, and B, you run into many more goblins and orcs as opposed to kind of keeping below the radar screen, so to speak, so that you don't invite unwanted attention. So that's why they suggested that way. You could also try to go direct. Oh, sorry. I'll just bring Tani with me. You could also try to go directly. Here we go. You could also try to go directly north and then go west like that. But as you will see, you're heading for one of the largest mountains in that range to do that, and that's going to make climbing very difficult. Already climbing is going to be difficult, but at least the path that you've chosen, there are dwarven paths that lead up and around the mountains that won't require you to try to, rope up and climb up the whole group of you, which is going to be difficult for some of you and impossible for others, a la Lilliman and Stone in particular. So that's why that was sort of taken out. And then the only other option would be to basically go very far to the left, to the west. So like here. And then cut back this way. But again, topographical problems, and then you're running right into the heart of the orc goblin infestation as you get to there. So that's why they suggested the dotted line.
Okay. What known lands does Robar have?
So that's a good question.
I'll find it.
Also, what is the known land advantage that you get again?
A thing. Let me check.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that, Wubba, but that's cool. I've heard of, as Trent says, I've heard of those games in general, but not that specific one. I have not. What's up, Aaron? Yeah, your known lands, Inga, are where?
Of the relevant ones, just the Northern Daylands. And I guess the upper, what are they called? Upper Marches.
Okay. So, yeah, as opposed to the Withered Heath. Yeah, as it is, you're avoiding, like, a lot of the Withered Heath. Like, you're right along the boundary of it. You're in it, but you're right along the boundary of it for much of it. But eventually you do have to cross it unless these other problems I talk about come into play.
Or Robar, the ones that seem relevant in this case are, there's all the Vales. And then there's Western Mirkwood, Mountains of Workwood, West Anduin, the Waste.
Oh, very good.
Oh, great.
Yeah, then he's got to be
Marshes,
the guide. Perfect.
Upper Marshes and Northern Daylands. So, yeah, he's...
So
Okay.
the Waste would make sense. So we're talking
Yes.
about him as the guide.
Yes, and I would suggest we take the suggested route.
Okay, are you the
Sounds
scout then, Inga? Does that make you the scout? Or...
Yes.
Okay.
Am I not usually the scout? I can't remember.
Last time
usually-
you were the lookout last time.
Lookout.
Yeah.
Sorry, I confuse scout and lookout all the time. Right.
Also, I have the page with the known lands. Want to read me to you?
Yes.
Okay. Long years spent roaming over the land have given you vast amounts of knowledge about some of the regions of Middle-earth. You know the terrain of you know the terrain of such lands like the backs of your hands, and your lore can seem almost unnatural to any companion traveling with you. At first level 2-3, blah 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 blah. When you make an intelligence or wisdom check related to a land you know, your proficiency bonus is doubled if you are using a skill you are proficient in. When you are traveling in one of your known lands, you gain the following benefits. If any part of a journey passes through a land you know, the DC of your personal event tests are lowered by 2. If the entire journey passes through a land you know, you act as guide, you lower the para rating of the journey by 2. You have advantage when making wisdom saving throws against corruption caused by blighted lands you know.
Wow. Okay.
You
And
cannot
you're getting a
become
lot of
lost
those.
under any normal circumstances. You know at least one place in each known land where you can safely take a long rest, a settlement where you have friends perhaps, or a hidden cabin in the woods, or simply a dry and defensible cavern or secret glade. You have advantage on dexterity, stealth ability checks, and can move stealthily at a normal pace.
Cool.
While tracking other creatures, you automatically learn their exact number, their size, and how recently they passed through the area. There,
That's super great.
Also, you're known well by the people who are the regulars at the diner, so you get your omelet just the way you want it every time. That's also
That's the important part.
that's the important part. Okay, now
Or get your bacon roasted just like you wanted.
Now, the only
Oh,
one of
Lysa
those
and
things
coffee.
that will not apply to this is that the journey as a whole does not just pass through the waste. So unfortunately, he won't get that. The peril rating is not dropped by 2 because you pass through several lands actually, including the Withered Heath at the end. So he will not get that benefit. But everything else that you mentioned, he does get. So With that said, we now need to figure out the rating. So you're going to, assuming that everyone is in agreement that you're going to stick with the dotted line thing, then I'm going to get rid of these alternate lines. Okay. All right. And we'll get rid of the blue bird there. All right. So the way this works is for the embarkation, we are going to take, and that's going to make, by the way, Tawny the hunter, yes?
Yeah.
As a consequence? Okay. So, good luck. It'll be a fun time hunting through here. Okay. So, what we will do here is we're going to make an embarkation roll. So, the way the roll works is it is the guide's so that's Will's, so it's Robar's, survival proficiency bonus plus half their wisdom bonus minus the peril rating for the journey, which is a 3. Which, in case people are curious, is difficult, is the peril of this journey.
Okay.
So survival proficiency plus half wisdom minus 3. And that's the modifier. So what is that number, Tren?
From what Tari was saying, if it uses, since he's the guide, it's in familiar lands, and it is a skill with which he has proficiency, we double the proficiency modifier.
Okay.
So that means that the proficiency is we'll have a +9 in survival.
Okay.
Just to begin with. His wisdom is a 16, so he's a +3, but you said there's a -3.
So just
that,
9, basically.
That just negates that.
Okay.
So yeah, 9, and then whatever the relevant against the difficulties, the peril rating is.
No, the peril rating was the 3.
Yeah, you already took the peril
Okay.
rating, so I
Then,
took care of.
all right, then we'll
so
figure
his normal proficiency bonus is 5 or 4?
his normal proficiency bonus is 6.
6.
And then
okay.
No, I'm sorry. His proficiency bonus is 3.
Okay, good.
But since he
It's
is
double.
proficient in survival,
That's 6. Yeah, gotcha.
it doubles to 6.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha. 6 plus. Okay, so it should be 6 plus half their wisdom bonus,
Which is 3. So 1.5 round up to 2.
Yeah, so that would be 8
Okay.
minus the 3.
Minus 3.
So it's
So
5.
that's 5.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds more rational than 9. I was like, wait, what? I mean, of course, you guys are amazing. Don't get me wrong. Okay,
So 5 is our modifier to the embarkation roll?
That's the embarkation roll, correct. So now the guide makes a single D12 roll, and we'll add 5 to it.
Okay. A D12, you say?
D12.
We shall add 5 to 9 and get whatever that is.
14!
That is a
Thank you.
14. Okay.
Hooray!
So this is auspicious beginnings. So the company sets out upon a path that will likely show them wonders long since forgotten or into dangers that most will quail at the thought of. But as you look out at the sort of despairing land around you, and I would say this might be River who does this, looking just off to the southwest, over where the great forest of Mirkwood lurks, like a scar in the landscape. Over that, you can see just some of the sun, which of course from the east is shining over you, but you can see some of it casting light upon the bright mountains in the west, where your parents, where your love, where your home, where Radagast all rests, and somewhere your letters will be winging or flying or trotting or walking their way somehow in that direction, and you feel perhaps somewhat more heartened than might be the case otherwise. And so the result of this means that you will add 2 to rolls on the journey events table. I will deal with that. And then additionally, when you are making your initial outcome rolls, so when I'm first like, okay, make this first roll to see what happens, those rolls will be done at advantage. Now, only the first one of those. So if there's multiple rolls, then you don't get that. And it doesn't apply to saving throws or things like that. But when it comes to, okay, this thing happens, and then I ask you to make a roll, that will be done at advantage. So, good start. Auspicious beginnings. And I'm going to mark +2 to journey. +2 to journey. Okay, good. All right. So, let's see. And the difficult. Good. Okay. Right. Okay. You folks set off then across the waste. This area is a shadowland, and as you pass across it, as you begin to make your way across this, for the first, I would say, actually, for the first day, you don't have to make this check because you are still here in the in just sort of the northwestern tip of the grasslands from Dale. And so as you all, I'm just going to move yourselves up a little bit this way. Things seem fairly copacetic. There are a few birds that call and so forth, but you can still feel yourself on grass plainland. The wind kind of flows and flutters around you gently. To the west are the northern Dale lands, which themselves are kind of barren. And of course, to the east, you can already see and kind of hear the howling of the wind across the waste, which is itself kind of a shadowland, not a blighted land, but a shadowland. We'll talk about that in just a moment. And so there were nothing really comes to affect you, but you do have a decision to make that evening, Tani, which is whether or not you're going to use this first night as a night to do your check or not.
He was planning on hitting this fairly early, so yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to ask you to do then is I'm going to ask you to make a lore check for me, please. One note that I should make, by the way, is that the
C sharp.
Yes.
Different note.
One note that I should make for you is that this is written in Dwarvish, and so normally I would give you sort of negatives, or I would say that, Inga would be able to do this as well. However, because you spent time with Munin, and because you've been spending time sort of focusing on this, and you're a scholar, I would say that you would have a similar difficulty level to a dwarf here. So I will technically Inga could try to do this because she could read the words, but you would probably be better able to interpret them just because of the work that you did with Munin. So,
and my tongues of many people's feet probably helps there too.
Yep. So I'm just letting you know, but assuming you're cool with that, and Inga and Robar and the river are going to guard over you, then I'm going to ask you to make that lore check then.
Can I assist him? Like, I'm assuming, like,
you can't really. You can, but if you're going to assist him, then you're also going to get that level of exhaustion. That's the problem.
Oh, okay. Then.
Yeah.
I'll be standing guard.
I was going to say level of exhaustion versus advantage. They kind of cancel each other out. So.
Although I like the idea though of you just pointing over his shoulder, like, no, that's not. No, it's that word.
The verb conjugates the other way around. Why?
It's a no. Not a knee, a no.
It's a no.
Why do they do it that way? This makes no sense. Is this a dream? What's going on?
All right. Here we go. Lore check. 15.
Okay. And that is indeed enough. As you read this, I would like you to roll a 6-sided die for me, please.
No. Okay. Just this once. Maybe some other time. 6.
Okay. As you're reading this, one of the things that you find interesting, Tani, is the sort of design of the watchtower in which everything was supposedly thought of for a group of people that expected that they would not be able to have help come quickly to them. And so they took a lot of ways to handle that. And one of the ways that they did that was through the use of messengers. And you learn as you read through this that at the very top of this watchtower to which you hope you were going is a small chamber where the dwarves traditionally kept raven messengers. It was at the very top of this place, and it looks down onto something which is known as the Chamber of Winds. Now, you haven't been able to find references as to what this is yet, but you see it referred to a lot. And the way you would describe the way that the Chamber of Winds is often referred to is with a sense of awe and occasionally dread. There's references to, but of course, one
You're thinking exactly what I'm thinking, aren't you?
Oh,
I can see it in the look in your face. You are also thinking of it's just constantly.
That's the dread part.
Right, exactly. And the awe part, amazingly, too. It's like, well, that was a good one.
I just want to point out that we started by talking about sheep consent and ended with farts, and the person that
Is this
brought
the end?
up,
Have we ended? We haven't
That's
ended,
it.
have we? I'm
No,
sorry.
we're all dead now.
it's true,
We're all
yeah,
dead.
it's,
It's a dream.
it is the chamber, yes. So
Oh,
it is the
God.
Chamber of Winds,
The
not
Chamber of Winds.
breaking wind. It is the
Yeah.
Chamber of Winds.
Don't break the Chamber of
Don't break the Chamber of Winds. It is the Chamber of Winds. But again, it references to one would not want to be the howling, the sound of force, the howl, that kind of thing, references like that. But you can't get any other details about it yet, except that it sounds like it would be nice if you knew more about what the hell this Chamber of Winds was. But in any case, this Raven's Perch comes from a small spiral staircase that opens off the main stairs that allegedly lead to the Chamber of Winds. And so again, something about this small chamber with the Raven's Perch is something they refer to, something to keep in mind. Okay, so I'm going to give you a level of exhaustion, unless you wish to address that problem somehow. Ugh. Level of exhaustion. And how many, actually, I should ask, how many of the honey cakes and so forth do you have? You have, sorry, I didn't see that.
10.
10? Okay. So are you going to want to use one? Because I think you could probably only use them, I need to look again and see, probably like once in a 24-hour period or something? I don't remember if we specified. Can you just chow down like no one's business? Because it's been a little while since you've used the honey cakes.
Let me see if it's in here. Thanks, that helps.
Indeed, Runo.
Can we just brew some coffee as well?
Oh, yeah.
It does. It does. If we did specify it, it's not written here. We may have, specified it, and I wrote it down in an earlier version of the character sheet, which got wiped in one of the updates or something.
Mhm.
It's entirely possible I've lost a couple of things that way.
Well, so what I would say is, if you use a honey cake to remove that level of exhaustion, I would say that it makes sense that you can only do that once in a 24-hour period. Fortunately, you're probably only going to be looking into this every 24 hours. It's just that you're using up honey cakes to do it. So you just, you need to think a little bit about that. Are you using that for now or holding on
How
to it?
much honey cake does it require? Because like the honey cakes are big, right? Like we've been splitting them between us.
That's true, but so is exhaustion. Exhaustion is not just I'm tired.
Exhaustion
right?
are big too.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
So that's why. Also, Tani's a big guy too. There's that. But no, the main reason is what I
Are
said.
you saying I'm
Did
fat?
you just?
Saying
I
you're-
literally was gonna say that.
I'm saying you're a large individual, sir. Please look.
No
at your
fat
own,
shaming in Middle Earth.
look at your own shirt.
Just
that's
holding
why
up
I
my
had it on
Obelix
back.
cup here because relevant.
Put on
So what-
backwards to begin with because I'm very small on the backside of the shirt. It's very slimming that way. Anyway,
Baseball shirts are very slimming, I've heard. Not yet.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, so meanwhile the rest are there, and I should say for River and Inga and Robar on watch, there is really very little that disturbs you at all. Very little sound of animal noise. There's a little bit of rustling here and there. Perhaps a fox kind of making their quick way, through the grass around you or something like that.
A wubba fox?
But no, a wubba fox.
Oh, fuck.
I see how that
I
was.
see.
But not. There you go. Nice, Arendt. I see what you did there. But nothing that seems significant to you. But as you sort of get ready on the next morning, as the sun begins to dawn, and you look at your next day's travel into the waste, you can sort of note the difference that we're looking at here, because this seems to be like you're going to be dealing with some stuff as you go forward into this waste. Going forward, as you were in this Shadowland, what I will be asking everyone to do basically every evening is I'm going to be asking everyone to make a saving throw, a wisdom saving throw. Any saving throw, wisdom saving throw, and I know that I think for I believe for Robar, I don't know for Inga, but at least for Robar, he'll do this at advantage, but everyone else, failing a saving throw will net you a point of shadow, and this will be happening every single day. So yeah.
But when do we start getting into the Shadowlands?
You are actually going into the waste. You're going into the Shadowlands tomorrow. Like
So the shadow. Okay, sorry.
it's
So the
that
waste is
brown
a
area
Shadowland.
right here. The waste is a
Okay.
Shadowland. The Withered
I
Heath
remember.
is worse. We'll
Oh,
talk about that
great.
when we get there.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Super cool.
So I don't get the known lands bonus because I don't have the waste as a known land.
Unfortunately. Okay. But you don't have to worry about that yet, though. I'm not going to ask you to make the saving throw just yet. We'll see what happens as you go through. Let me pull up my dice roller, though, because I do need to do that.
I don't think I get any bonuses for this.
Okay. All right. Right. Okay, good. So... All right, and that is... Okay. So you go across this area, which is this, as you go across the waste, and you enter it in the early morning hours, you notice that there are these endless piles of stone and these looming sort of pillars, which seem almost these looming boulders and so forth, which seem almost like gravestones. They might remind you of barrows, except they are fallen and seem to be covered perpetually in a kind of mist. Although there is sort of sun that kind of glints through and kind of shines past you at times, particularly sort of landing to your west. For some reason, it seems pretty shadowed from you heading to the east. As you sort of wander through it, you feel the kind of the weight of the land that you pass through, this sort of trackless region. And about, I would say, early afternoon of that second day, your first day having entered the waste, and I will move you forward accordingly, the following happens. So... Okay. Okay. So I do that. Right. Okay. And I think, let's see. Right. Okay. That's what I thought. Okay. So about early afternoon, as you are passing through the waste, you note, sort of as you're kind of walking through here, that there are a lot of these huge piles of stone, which seem to be very much, you seem to be sort of entering an area where there are a lot of them. So you saw some of them that were off to the kind of northeast, and then as you moved through to the north following your path, you see more and more of them appearing around you. There are, what looks like maybe even sort of the lower levels of towers that have long since fallen away and rotted, and a lot of these stones are kind of looming above you. But as early afternoon sort of passes into early evening, you can see more and more of them rising above you. And the thing that is particularly notable, River, to you as the lookout, is that they seem to be appearing more and more often without you having noticed them first. So at one point you think that you see sort of a path kind of leading you directly that might be sort of a way to kind of cut between these two hills that would be difficult to climb, and you think that you can actually head, and you use one of these pillars to kind of make your way. However, as you move towards it, something odd happens. I need you to make a perception check for me, please. Oh, lookout.
15.
Sorry. Okay, I just responded to that. Okay, so 15. Yeah, you notice as you are. We notice as you're moving there, that you're as you get sort of this place where one of these stone piles could be a landmark. You notice, River, that what you thought was directly ahead of you seems to have shifted. So at one point you kind of look at another landmark, which fortunately you were clever enough to have noted before, and you see that based upon the thing which you swear is the same pile of stones you were headed for in the early afternoon, as you get towards early evening, based on where this other landmark is off to the west in the Dale Lands, you're pretty sure that you're now sliding to the right with the party to the east. In other words, if this had continued, you would have been wandering them, basically bringing them almost in circles. Because of what you thought you saw ahead of you. And so as you kind of note this, and you can tell the party what you want, but it definitely seems to you as if somehow this pile moved, even though you swear you were heading directly towards it the whole time.
River is going to look to the others and say, it's as if these stones are like rotting teeth in a jaw, and they're just moving, rolling around a little. It's almost as if they're pushing us towards the east. It's a very strange, fell place. Inga, do you know anything about moving rocks here?
Do I? Greg.
I should probably ask it to Robar as well, actually.
Robar knows this place.
I was going to say,
so
you
much.
probably wouldn't, Inga. Rocks are not supposed to move. Like that,
Yeah, rocks are supposed to stay put
that's what makes
under
them
your
awesome,
chisel.
You know, they stay where they are. But you could ask Robar if you wish. I would ask Tren, I'd ask you to make a lore check, I would say, for Robar, and you could do that at +2. The answer is yes. There were rumors that at times these things, piles of rock and stone, could move, but not here. It was actually found off in Eriador, off to the west, and often among the barrows, the barrow mounds and the barrow creatures near the Old Forest, what the hobbits call the Old Forest, are places where people trying to traverse that area would often find themselves hopelessly lost, as barrows would seem to loom out of the mist and then disappear again, even though clearly they cannot be moving, can they? So there were definitely tales among the Dunedain of that happening there. Not so much necessarily in the Waste, though, and, you know, again, he's obviously been to the Waste before. This happening here is new to him.
Huh. Shudder.
So you have a couple choices to look at. Obviously, you have the guide who's leading you as well with Robar, but based on what you can see, you could try to lead the party through the piles, basically. So try to trace a path through the stone piles, like, you know, keeping some to the left, some to the right, essentially tracing through them. Or you could just stop right here. The problem with stopping right here is that it delays you by probably half a day, because you were planning to make more ground up. You know, it's early evening, it's not midnight, so you were planning to make more ground here. But that's up to you as to what you want to do. What you want to advise the party to do, I should say.
Right, but I mean, it's not like, even if we stop, the rocks will presumably still be there.
That's also true.
Right, so...
But you could maybe traverse it during the day as opposed to the evening, maybe.
Oh, that's fair.
But again, they'll still be there, though.
Yeah.
Thank you for the follow, Adamo X. Welcome.
I would keep going.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, River will like, you know, consult the party on this and stuff, because everyone, I think, at least Inga and Robar are much more familiar with this part of the world than she is. Mm-hmm. So I think she will leave it up to them, having said this, what they would prefer to do. And Tawny, for that matter, and she actually looked at Tawny and say, maybe maybe stopping earlier would be better for you. You didn't get very much sleep.
No, I really didn't. And while I certainly wouldn't mind the extra time to nap, the idea of sleeping out here is less than appealing, but I don't see how we have much of a choice.
Well, we're going to spend some time in this rocky maw one way or another. It's only a question of how much of that time we want to spend in moving through it in daylight or darkness, I suppose.
I would much prefer daylight.
I guess we are making camp then.
Okay. All right. So as you make camp, I'm going to ask everyone to make the aforementioned wisdom saving throw with whatever advantages or non-advantages they have.
Wait, sorry, what was that?
We have to make a wisdom saving throw.
For your time in the waste.
Bars would be an
Because I
advantage.
get so many bonuses on that. Oh, 16.
Aha. Okay.
Aha.
Robars with a 19. Inga with a
Robar's
16.
with a non-natural 20
Okay.
because he has advantage since he's here.
Okay.
He knows that.
River. Okay.
Whew.
All right. And
It's just-
And Tony, 24.
wow. It's still a dream. All right. Perhaps
For
something.
Tony, it's just like life is but a dream at this point.
All of it. What difference does it make whether
Merrily,
I'm
merrily,
awake?
merrily, merrily.
I'm
yeah.
tired, but it's a good tired.
Yeah.
So, yeah, actually, all of you provide some cheer to each other. The animals, Lillimon and Stone, at one point are kind of playing with each other. Stone is kind of dancing around the heels of Lillimon, who kind of keeps like moving his nose around and occasionally kind of like bumps Stone with his nose, and then Stone, furiously wagging his tail. And as you all are sort of here, as the light kind of gradually descends, the rocks and stones around you feel to be in somewhat of a different. It seems as if they've stopped moving for the present. The sound of the sort of play of the animals echoes off the stones, and there is no other animal sort of moving. And yet, for all that, you feel somewhat more, not as despondent, perhaps. The memory of the fresh green that you were in not that long ago, perhaps, is still with you.
River
ahead.
is going to, when they are stopped, River is sort of making a point to try and like keep her hand on the harp, essentially, whenever they're stopping. And in this case, because there is something about the landscape that is frightening but also awing about this, she's going to sort of improvise literally like a song for these stones and stuff, and for the way that they seem like teeth, but also like also aware or also moving, and there's kind of like a sort of a song that is sort of like a respectful nod to the stones and stuff that they are moving through, and also like something that feels both like respectful but also is a form of like asking permission, essentially, to keep moving through and stuff.
Interesting. Let me have you make a performance check for me, please, River. Would you say, by the way, that this is kind of reflecting the tone, so it's melancholic? Wow.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Okay.
I would have said it would be sort of musing melancholic, hopeful as well, though.
Okay.
Um,
So, as you play, and the animals stop, calm down a little bit and just sort of stop and settle down. Stone lies down to kind of watch, and you all listen. The musical notes seem to almost take shape around you. It seems almost imaginatively, and kind of floats around. And as you hear the sound of Inga asking Lillimon to come to her, come here, Lillimon. But the notes sort of fly around, and at one point, you feel as if, and it may just be imagination, but you feel it as if at some point you see these shapes, River, sort of almost coming out of the mist a little bit, these dark shapes. Which you can just see against kind of the light of the campfire. And they sort of stand watching mutely. Again, they're very indistinct. You're not 100% sure you even entirely see them. And then as you continue to play, the shapes gradually melt away again into the fog. And when the next morning comes, I am going to ask Tani a question, but when the next morning comes, you see that around you, the piles that had surrounded you earlier in the evening are now gone. And there is now just a set of piles off in the distance, more or less where you thought you were heading yesterday when you were heading towards them. You see that same thing again. Appropriately closer, not like, it's staying the same distance, but so, yeah.
Huh.
So, Tani, did you take this evening to rest, or did you take this evening to read?
Best.
Okay. So. Okay. So, all right. We will proceed through.
Question, was there any the shadowy figures and stuff? Was there any sort of feeling from them? Like, was there a feeling of like menace or like presence or listening or anything like that?
Curiosity.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah. And it was not, obviously, your shadow sense, so to speak, was not
tingling.
Yeah, but again, of course, many of the spirits that wander through Middle Earth are not themselves of the shadow. The shadow is often predated by many of these creatures anyway. It's something else. Creatures that wander this place and were drawn and curious by our music, perhaps. Yeah. Okay, day 3 begins, and as you pass through the waste further, you begin to notice some other things. This is something which Inga in particularly notices, which is that there are these tumbled hills and these reeking, a couple of pools that you pass are these reeking pools of foul water, which often seems as if like the sort of smell reminds you probably, Inga, most closely of the smell of the burning bodies when you were fighting at the fortress of Black Tom, the enclosure of Black Tom.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So you can sort of smell that stench. It's impossible, and yet there it is coming out from this foul water. The tumbled stones around you continue to loom. The example that you gave of teeth, the river, I think is very appropriate here. But there is no attack that comes for you that day. And as you settle into that day, there is no further event, I should say. And as the evening begins to close in on the end of day 3, you have made some decent progress. But you notice, again, I'll come back to Inga, that, I will actually end the river also, that the two animals, Lillimon and Stone, who again were very playful the last night, they feel less so tonight. Lillimon has his head kind of down a little bit. Stone's tail does not wag very much. He, has his eyes are still he doesn't look like he's going to keel over, but he definitely can feel the kind of weight of this place that just seems endless of stone and bracken, and obviously there are no birds, no animals, no people that you cross the paths of. It's just the waste, and you can see that it is weighing on them as you set up camp for the third evening. And I'm giving you an option. You can or not do something about that if you wish, or not. It's up to you.
About the fact that the animals are downhearted.
That's right.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not giving you like a mechanical. You must do something. I'm just telling you that.
No,
that's
no,
how
no,
it goes.
no. I mean, like, no. River is very attuned to Stone's
Yeah.
moods and stuff, and she will pay more attention to him and give him extra scritches and cuddles and pets and things, and kind of like, go for a quick like jog around the campsite and stuff together, and
Okay.
just to, yeah.
All right, you're able to do that. Inga, are you doing anything with Lillimon?
Yes, like basically the same, like, but also like gonna feed him extra treats and stuff like that, and gonna play some music for him when the opportunity is there.
Okay.
Because like we rarely have the opportunity for that, but Inga does actually own a flute.
I was gonna say, Inga plays music.
Yeah, I want to hear more of this
all the
flute
dwarves
music.
do.
Yeah.
It's like a thing. All dwarves are musicians.
How have we not, like, River will be like, well, we should play together, obviously. Why not, like, jam?
Like, I think, like, way in the beginning, like, sometimes was like, yeah, Inga also plays along.
Cool.
But, like, yeah.
So you play this duet. I would point out, by the way, that the music right now literally has a flute.
Yeah.
So it's all very...
Yeah, but, like, Inga would play more happy traveling songs,
Not really depressed, melancholic. Like,
no.
Okay.
Try to keep the mood up.
Yeah.
Like the type of song she would like play with her parents when being on the road, just like a bit of flute playing, and then like a bit of singing, and then playing,
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that would be awesome. I mean, River will have said to Inga that she would really love to learn more dwarf songs because she only knows the one, and it's obviously quite melancholic, but she would like to learn cheerful, happy ones and stuff too.
Yes.
I would like both of you, I'd like all of you to make your wisdom saving throws, but I would like the two of you to add +1 to that roll, please.
Sweet. Thank you. Oof. 10.
I'll come back to
11.
Please tell me the one made a difference.
Gets a natural 20.
Okay. Ropar just walks around revealing rolls.
Ah, Christ! Oh no, 6.
So, and I'll wait for Tani.
Can we just like parcel out that natural 20? Yeah.
Just to like, take a few points here and there. Yeah, sadly, no.
Hmm.
What happens
Take
is so
20, take 10, yeah.
the two of you, so Robar and Tani, you were actually kind of uplifted a little bit by listening to this music. You're kind of like, this is this is good stuff. And also, Tani, while they're doing this, are you reading this night?
Yes, and he would have eaten the night after he rested to make sure that he got rid of that point.
To the level of exhaustion, right? I was going to say, because it wouldn't just happen from the rest. Okay,
right.
Cool. All right. So I will come
back to normal by now. So now he's going.
Now he's going to do it again. Gotcha. I'll be back to that in just a second. I'll talk about that. So you were uplifted, but River and Inga, as you are playing together, and you obviously enjoy the experience. It's, first of all, it sounds like a pleasant thing, but as you're playing, Inga, you notice that you can't help but notice that there are some, it almost feels like discordant notes that sneak in. Like, you remember how the songs went, obviously. You've played them many times. You had them played for you by your parents. But every so often as you're playing, a memory comes to you almost unbidden of your mother in the bed. And then I mentioned the stench that I talked about before from the pools, and a memory of looking at the burning corpses and the burning bodies sort of comes back to you. And so there are these kind of these moments where your note almost catches a bit, like it doesn't quite come across in the happy way that you had hoped. And the same thing for you, River. Your memory comes of seeing your father at the top level of the Elfin Tower, the way that he looked, the kind of how broken he seemed, how bruised, how hurt, how frightened you had been for him, the look of your mother who had seemed almost given up hope and waiting for him. And these things weigh very heavily on the minds of both of you. And as the song at some point comes to an end, you sort of look over to see Tawny and Robar, and even the animals, I would say, looking somewhat uplifted. But that quality of uplifting, the uplifting quality does not seem to be for you. Both of you get a shadow point.
Yay.
Yep.
Emo mode activate.
Yeah, exactly.
Dislike. There's so much shadow.
Inga's just like, can't wake up. Make me up.
Oh my god.
Save me. I expect Robar, who's happy to be the one doing the save me. Anyway.
I feel like what River will also be reminded of here is when at Selduin, what was that the name of the city? I can't remember. Yeah, was it the river or was it the city that was called Selduin? I can't remember.
River, it was both. Yeah, it
both.
was.
Okay, great.
Yes.
The corpse that Tawny and she were near that started to speak and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But before, because it was slightly before it started to speak. Anyway, she was playing this harp then, and felt like there's like this shadow sort of slithering into the music and stuff.
Yep.
And so she's reminded of that, and it like it makes her angry. And there's like this she just like even as she kind of feels this sort of weight in her chest and throat, she just sort of starts kind of muttering to herself that there has to be some way or some key to like undo it or to like unpick it. She kind of keeps thinking of it as like something between like Ravelry and engineering, essentially, like some way to use this instrument to unpick this weight of shadow.
There must be some kind of way out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Said the Joker to the thief.
There's and you're all heading all along the watchtower.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Very good. Very good.
You stole it from me. I was saving that one for when we get there. Like literally after the last stream, I was chatting with Tren afterwards. I was like, should have played that song. I was like, save it.
Oh, such a good song too. And I believe the most covered rock song, in the history of rock music. I believe I read that once. That is one of the most covered rock songs ever. In fact, and Bob Dylan himself preferred Hendrix's cover to his own version, and he used to play that later on in concerts. Anyway,
I think if Dylan had any taste, he would probably prefer quite a few people's covers of his.
Oh well, yeah. Like, this is true. Actually, this is true. It's very much like Leonard Cohen for me. Leonard Cohen, I'm sorry, he's not a great singer, but the guy's an unbelievable songwriter. Yeah. So like every song that he writes, every time everyone else does it, I'm like, this is amazing. You know.
I think who was it? Someone said something like, "No one can sing a song the way Leonard Cohen can't." Or something like that.
You hear it, you're like, oh god, but the songs themselves are so good. Anyway, thank you, GM Free, for the follow. So yeah, and I think that's interesting. That moment gives you an opportunity. I can't even go forward because Ali Freeborn just subscribed. Thank you, Ali Freeborn, for the resub. 18 months. Thank you, Ali, so much.
Get hyped.
Thank you. So when you're hearing this, it's kind of, and you're having this kind of thing. Imagine the way I want to describe it for you, River, is that the sound of the harp, it feels as if your fingers sometimes are a little heavy, as if the harp and you are trying to play against almost the air itself, which presses down around you a little bit. You do get the impression that you're not playing against the harp, but that you and the harp are playing against something else. Mm-hmm. And that presence that you all felt when you were crossing through to the Dwimmerhorn, that kind of thing is something which you remember as well. So as you remember these things that you just described, and as you're like, I want to think of ways to kind of pick my way out of it, you do get the sense that there is a little bit of a contest going on between yourself and the harp and something else around you. And for both you and for Inga in particular, this weight is very significant as you kind of feel it and hear the sound. That said, though, Tawny is able to use this to his advantage as he's reading about this. So, Tawny, I need you to make another one of those checks, please. Not wisdom, but this time is just a, what did I say? Like a regular wisdom check, I believe.
Lore? Or,
It was, sorry, lore check. Beg your pardon.
The book. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. What?
Yeah, sorry, my bad. Sorry, lore check.
I wish it was a wisdom save
No.
for the book, because that's a lot more.
Lore check. And, lore check.
Yeah, lore check.
Lore check.
Lore. Natural 1.
This
Wait.
time, as
no, okay. No, I was gonna. Sorry, I was trying to say this before the roll
go ahead.
happened,
What were you
but,
gonna say?
I was gonna say they are doing a short rest every night, right? I mean, that's essentially what they're doing.
a short rest, yes, but not. This does not. They don't have the ability to overcome exhaustion with a short rest, though.
No, but it's just that if they're doing a short rest every night, then and River is playing music every night, then I think that she can be giving like one of her gift dice every night.
Oh,
you
I
know?
see. I'm happy to allow you to do that for him. Sure.
Okay. So let me just remind myself of what that
That's it.
says. Sorry. Right.
It's
So I can
okay.
gift. So I'm gifting 1d8 to the person of my choice, but like on a natural one, I guess that doesn't really matter. Or well, I don't know. I guess.
I mean, I don't want to say, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's up to you.
Incidentally, can that gift dice also apply to a wisdom save?
I need to double check. I don't think it does, but
Okay.
let me see. Let me see.
Because if River can also like help Inga not get more shadow, then that would be great.
Yeah, I also think that wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
Like,
Let's see.
not that I'm biased or anything.
No.
but, you know.
I mean, listen.
My cat is screaming from the bathroom.
Oh, poor puss.
Wants to play catch, but I can't. Oh my god, shut up.
Do it. Okay.
Like, can you hear her scream? That's the
I
question.
cannot.
A little bit that last time.
Yeah. No. Well, hold on a second. I was about to say no, and then I was like, wait. Wait a minute. So you know that the Warden's Gift for the short rest thing you were talking about?
Yeah.
You know the Warden's Gift only gets returned after a long rest.
No, after 5th level.
Oh, it's
a
after a short rest?
Yeah.
Oh,
So I
yes,
get
I see it.
Dauntless. Beginning at 5th level, you regain all your expended uses of Warden's Gift when you finish a short or
I see
long
that.
rest.
Okay, here's what I'll say. I will allow you to. I will allow you to do this. What I cannot do is allow you to do it every single night for Terry, for Inga, for multiple reasons. This land itself even impacts the ability to use the Warden's Gift. But I would allow you to basically, I'd allow you to use it a few times in the trip. So if it's a 6-7 day night, thing, I'd allow you to use it 3 times if you want, for the benefit of trying to keep, give Inga some help in that saving throw.
Right.
I'd allow you to do that. You can't do it the same time that you're also helping Tawny, though.
Okay.
So those are the 2 restrictions. So you can use
Okay.
it up to 3 times to help her, or up to 3 times to help Tawny. Not at the
Right.
same time, though.
See, so I sort of, essentially, like I sort of like just narratively, I would have liked to be able to give it to Inga for this role.
Because of that's fine.
Because they were playing together in
That's fine.
particular.
That's fine.
So if Inga, if you want to like roll a d8 and see if it gets you over the,
Yeah. What was your roll, by the way?
it was a 9, but it was a 9, but it was a +1, so
No,
it was a 10.
It was
yeah.
10. Yeah. Okay.
So I get a D8, you say?
Yeah.
If you want, yeah.
Oh, a 7. That
Okay.
would be a 17.
Yeah, that would work then.
Great.
So
So you can take off 1 shadow point then.
Awesome, thank you.
it means you're
um,
actually even with
oh.
the river as it happens.
By the way, like something I thought of earlier, when we were still back in the Erebor, Inga would have gotten herself a replacement bottle of booze because she used her last
Yeah, yeah, oh,
one
yeah.
to make a Molotov cocktail.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Oh, that's right. Right, to use against the Gibbet King.
Was to fill in for Robar. Yes, that's right. Okay,
Ha!
so that's fine. So 5 and 5. So that means that so you use that tonight, which means you won't be able to use it for Tani. So
Which is
Okay.
I really want this natural
Yeah.
one to play out. So I think
Okay.
I think it's a good
Okay.
thing.
Okay.
all right. Yeah, so you are exceedingly confused and perhaps even a little frustrated, Tani, at reading what looks like endless descriptions of, masonry orders and things like that. And you're like, what the hell is this? Like, you keep wanting to find more stuff about Chamber of the Winds, but instead they're like, you didn't realize that like any language could have 10 different names for rock, but there's all different kinds, like shale rock, rock shale, double shale rock with it, and then they're all modifiable by
shale
file rocks,
rock.
And this winding chamber, which I'm
One
certain
a
is
rock,
the
two a
same
rock,
thing.
three a rock,
Rock,
rock.
exactly.
Sorry, I'm just
Rock
like-
squared, it's really frustrating, and you gather no new information. You do see some other references to that, again, the Chamber of Winds, but otherwise no. So you get, sadly, only a level of exhaustion for your trouble.
Does Tony at any point is like does he at one point like say how frustrating he finds like all these different words for rocks and stuff like that?
He can't
He's
do it
mostly
midway
just
through to get your help, though.
grumbling, yeah.
It would have to be done
No,
at the
okay,
beginning.
because like that seems like the one thing that Inga can help with because that's her profession. So it's
do this
like
stuff. Hey, Echo.
I'm just like thinking, like when archaeologists in real life like find something that they are like, we have no idea what this tool is, and then like some leather worker comes and is like, oh yeah, this is that, and then
Yeah,
we've
yeah,
been
yeah.
using that for thousands of years.
But the problem is, even if I were to allow that, it's
Yeah.
like all that basically does would be like, okay, so this is what rock means, but it's still, he's in like the wrong part of the library, metaphorically
Okay.
speaking, right? Like, so you're like, here's this, you're like, great, now how do I get up 4 floors and over 3 rooms to where I actually need to be, basically?
see.
So yeah, it's more than that, unfortunately.
Hell is
it's
this dusty decimal system they're talking about? This makes no sense.
exactly. The dwarvy decimal system.
Oh man.
Okay. So
Please tell me that the dwarves are also the only ones using metrics in this world.
Oh yeah, I mean they're the only one. Yeah, I mean like everyone else just eyeballs it. You kidding me? Like that's why really. Probably not the elves, but the elves everything is all like they wave it and they make it happen. Like they're
It's
definitely
organic anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So they measure in feet.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, sure. Feet is the random one.
They measure in lengths of starlight. They just yes,
Thanks of starlight.
lengths of starlight.
It's an image of a big.
Like
eye
I don't
roll
think
from
that's
India.
very effective. Like the road is 1 light year long.
Basically, all the
Um,
places that the elves try to get to are like metaphors as well.
It's
When
true.
they
Yeah.
go into the west, you don't have to know how far away it is. You just, I will diminish and go into the west. By how much will you diminish, Galadriel? I don't know.
3.75. Like it just.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the Star Wars prequel answer. It's like, well, the elves actually negotiate by the following 5 ways because
3.14. Sorry, no.
let's not have any
5.
mystery, please.
Indeed.
Okay. So on the morning of the 4th day, as this passes through, the morning of the 4th day, as you get back up and prepare to head forward again into the wilds, you notice that for the first time the wind has picked up, and you begin to hear sort of the breeze passing you. Let me see if I can get some. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, there we go.
The wind was on the withered heath.
Exactly.
The forest
And
certainly.
you feel the dust sort of kicks up into your faces. Stone and Lillimon seem to have a little bit of a tough time. You may want to like put a bandana around their face, or put like one of the feed bags around Lillimon's face too, nose, to kind of protect him from the dust as you proceed through. And about I would say right around maybe, again, early afternoon of the 4th day, you're crossing over this one hill, and then to the sort of right of the hill, as you walk along its ridge almost, there is a gully basically down to your right to the east. And I would like everyone please to make perception checks for me, please.
Ooh, are we in the wilderness?
You are in the waste, not the Dalelands.
No. Like, but this is wilderness. That's the point.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%
Yeah. Okay.
wilderness.
So,
Yeah, 100%.
like, Trent, don't forget that Robar gets the bonus.
Okay.
14.
So, oh, I'm
Wow.
natural 20. So
Nice.
Wow.
don't need a bonus.
Robar is just like dramatically, okay.
Perception.
Okay.
And yeah, 12. Yeah.
What about you, Inga? Oh, sorry.
Natural
you
20?
had the natural 20 also. Okay.
Yeah.
So Robar.
So she's the
and-
only one with a natural.
I
20.
did. I
Yeah.
saw Robar's 20. I didn't see. Gotcha.
Yeah, what is his
So-
bonus, though?
2.
Like, Robar, like, what is his proficiency bonus?
3.
3, so he has a 23.
No, because that's the perception.
I think it's taken
that's
it
taken
into
into account in
It
perception
did.
already.
But he
yeah.
has the +2 because.
because of the first roll thing. that I
No,
talked
because
about?
he has, like, that's like a trait that Wanderers have. They get double perception bonus in the wilderness.
Right, but that's
Oh.
covered. But that's covered in the. Right, but that's covered in the roll though. Like you
Is
can
it?
see, yeah.
No, it's
perception is
not.
listed- He has a 9 without having a double bonus. He has a +9 right there.
For
Yeah.
perception, yes.
Yes. So in other words, I'm saying you don't get more than a +9. I'm pretty sure that's going to be. I mean, he may get more like 1 or 2, but he's not going to get double that. Is what I'm saying, Terry.
I mean, he's got a 19 passive perception
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So his active would be even higher than that.
Yeah. Right. I agree. That's why.
Super not following.
Because
Doesn't matter. Did he make his roll?
Yes, he did.
Anyway,
Yeah.
okay, so it
Regardless.
doesn't matter.
He did, and both him and you. So, at the bottom of this gully to your east, Inga, both you and Robar can see there is a corpse, clearly a body, the first one that you've seen here, lying face down, almost certainly the corpse of an orc. Now, you don't know for sure because it's a little bit of a distance. You'd have to actually go down into it to see, but it's lying face down in this this pool of dirty water at the bottom of this gully.
I'm assuming Inga's first one going because she's a scout.
That would be reasonable, yep. Although
Okay,
he's
then
the
she
guy,
stops
but both of them, I would say you first, yes.
Okay. She stops the party and like puts one finger to her mouth to make sure that everybody stays quiet.
Okay.
And
What? What is it?
What's wrong? Damn it.
what's wrong? I can't hear you. You need to speak up. No. And then she points to the orc so that everybody can see it.
Okay.
And then she whispers, I really want to check that out, but we should make first clear that whatever caused that orc to die isn't around anymore first. So we should circle and see if we can find anything else first.
Really good thing that Tawny's not more exhausted than he.
Hey, are you all right?
Shut up. Sit down and be quiet.
Okay.
So yeah, I would suggest that Robar goes like one way around and Inga goes the other way around,
Okay.
and the rest of the party stays here.
Are you stealthing as you do this?
Yes.
Okay. So I need you and Robar both to make stealth checks for me, please.
Robar automatically succeeds because it's no nets.
Oh, right.
Yes.
So he is automatically stealthy.
And I have a 17.
Okay.
Yes.
So, yeah, you
I
move
don't
around
think I get
very
any bonus.
quietly. Robar, barely more than a whisper in the wind that howls around you. And you make your way on opposite sides, as you suggested, down gradually to towards that body. You don't see anything on either side as you cross over, by the way. Like, you don't see any other sign of orcs or other creatures. This gully is, as I said, next to the ridge of the hill that you're on, but there's no trees or brush or really anything that would block it. So you have pretty good visibility around here, and you don't see anything obvious anyway. And so as you get down to the bottom, you can see that it is indeed an orc lying face down in this muddy pool.
Okay, so everything looks safe to us, yes?
Yes, I mean, no, you don't see anything else obvious.
I would
rather.
suggest we go check it out up close.
Okay. So when you get up closer to it, you can see two things. First of all, first the orc itself is lying face down, and there
Is it in armor? Out of
it
curiosity?
is.
Yeah.
Yes. You'd need to like flip it over or whatever if you wanted to see more of it.
Oh
but,
yes,
like,
we want to search. it.
Okay. So when you flip it over, you can see that its throat has been cut. And that it is wearing armor and weapons, leather armor, and it's kind of a bent scimitar. And as you look up here, you can see that this looks to you to be part of the same band of orc warriors that you dealt with at Selduin. So in other words, it's wearing some of the similar armor and equipment, basically, that those were carrying. Moreover, around the body, like you couldn't see it until you moved them, there are a set of what looks like tracks in sort of a soft patch of ground nearby. Now, all around, so you've got the pool of muddy water and then mud and dirt. All around that, you have kind of dust and stone. So if you want to follow it, you can try to, but the tracks vanish pretty quickly because it's mostly just dry land around here. But down here, there are definitely sets of tracks. They are definitely humanoid sized, and there are definitely a few of them. So not just one creature.
I would like to see if Robar or I can like determine anything more specific from the tracks.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
What
'cause
could have killed him?
Because don't you guys in known lands also have something about tracking people?
Uh-huh. Being able
Yeah,
to
but
see.
wait, let me check. Blah blah blah.
While she's looking that up, by the
While
way,
tracking other creatures, you automatically learn the exact numbers, their sizes, and how recently they passed through the area.
okay. So I will give you that information in a second. What is River and the River and Tawny doing during this? By the way, are you just still up on the ridge, or?
Yeah, I mean, so River is keeping a lookout
Yes.
while they're doing this, and while she's doing that, we'll also ask Tawny, you know, how he's holding up with his reading and stuff.
Okay.
Exhaustion.
Yeah, I'm sure that'd be fine.
So doing great then. Doing very well.
Doing super awesome. While they're doing that, so yes, it looks to you several things that you discover about this based upon that knowledge. First of all is that there are definitely probably 10 orcs would have been the guess. This was the 11th. 10 orcs. They were here probably about a week ago, if you had to guess, maybe a week and a half, something like that. It could have been 10 to 12 days. Bless you.
Gesundheit.
So about 10 to 12 days or so. And that they headed off to the north. You, again, lose sight of the tracks and then lose sight of your ability to know where. But they're headed, roughly speaking, in the same direction that you folks are going as you proceed through. But there's something else that you notice also, and I would like both Inga and Robar to make another perception check for me, please.
That would be a 10. for
Okay.
me.
24.
As you're sort of looking around the tracks of the body, both you, Inga, and Robar notice, as you look back at the orc corpse, which is now facing up towards the sky, there is an eerie glow in the eyes of the corpse.
Yeah. No. Dislike.
So
Do
that
not
just
want.
popped up, yes?
Sorry?
Like it just started glowing, or did
You
we
don't
just,
know. You just noticed it.
Is
Yeah,
it-
Inga's like jumps back a step, and it's like, whoa.
As you do that, when you jump back, the glow fades, and you see through the mud this thing bubbling up through the mud, and then something whispering like a dust cloud almost up the side of the gully, and then whoosh, off into the wind beyond. Something was watching you.
Nope. Absolutely not.
I need you to make a wisdom saving throw for me, please, Inga.
Great.
Ah.
Actually, I need Robar to
Boy,
make that
howdy
too.
do I love wisdom saving throws.
These are my favorite.
The one where I don't get any bonuses. A 6.
Ah!
9.
Narratively appropriate that both of you gain a shadow point
Ah.
from this being watched by this thing. However, the only good news out of this, Inga, is that you are pretty confident that you've seen this before. This is like the glow of the Gibbet King when you saw him in the cart fighting on the
How is that
bridge.
a good thing?
Well,
Please,
because, you know,
elaborate.
it's knowledge, and knowledge is power.
Yeah, sure it is. I'm sure if Inga wouldn't have known what this means, then she would have been fine, but... okay,
Now, your
so you
companions
said
did not
there's,
see
like,
you see
water
that.
around, like,
Correct.
right? Like,
Right.
okay, so... Inga starts to pick up that orc and drags him onto a dry spot of land and then sets him on fire.
Okay.
Hey!
You do that. The smoke rises. Do any of the rest of you, like, you know, sort of like... Because you see her jump back, then all of a sudden she looks
Like-
up, then she's like... You see her pulling it up and, like, whipping out her torch and, like, you know, flint and tinder and...
It was like, isn't it setting that orc on fire?
Thought we had bacon this morning.
Oh, don't even joke about that.
It was good bacon. Don't say that.
I mean,
I think you meant Orakin.
Orkin.
I'd like some crispy
Like
Orkin.
bacon, but like orc.
Orkin. Yeah.
The other gray meat.
Oh, that's bad.
It's nasty.
Yeah,
It is
it sure is.
so nasty.
It is super nasty.
But
But true.
I presume this is putting a foul smell in the air
Indeed,
and
it
everything.
is. Very
Yeah,
foul.
Inga just like sets him on fire and starts walking. Like she's like so disturbed right now. Just
Slow motion.
Let's get out of
here.
And it blows up for no reason.
Right.
No, just kidding. But yes, okay.
Yeah.
So as she marches out,
I
do the
totally
rest of you
had.
do anything? As
Well, I
she's-
mean, I was gonna have River ask Tawny about something, which now feels like just super out of step with what's happening. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, it takes a while to drag that orc away and
Right.
set him on fire. So, like, there is a chance of you guys stopping her, just saying, you know.
I mean, my sense is that River is kind of watching this happen, going like, well, Inga needs to do what she needs to do. Yeah. Anyway, well, I mean, what was... No, nothing. I mean, I think River is just keeping a lookout and being kind of confused by what is happening there, but that since Inga is walking back, she will ask when she gets back.
Okay.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Johnny just looks more and more confused the more River starts a sentence and stops and picks a different sentence and stops and it's like,
No, she's
I
not
know
doing
I'm
that.
tired, but-
That's just me. That's just me. River is not
I
doing
know.
that. But yeah. But yeah.
All right.
One thing she will ask actually is she basically says to Tawny, Tawny, it's as if I know that you are reading this tome every night and working hard at it, and I can see that you're exhausted, but this place doesn't seem to weigh on you the way that it weighs on us, on the rest of us. Do you know why that is?
I've put a lot of thought into that since the Dwemer War. And I think to some large extent it's the fact that as we've spoken of before, I don't have any family except for you guys. So, in a sense, there are things elsewhere that each of you has a sense of oppression, a pressure of the possibility of losing something that is out of your immediate control, that you're not there to save it, and there is in that a sense of helplessness. But for me, all of my friends and family are here. All of you are here with me. If anything should risk happening to any one of you, I'm here. I can see that you are here with me. There is no doubt to me as to what might be happening to you. I can see. I can in times of dire need, I could hold any one of you and get that reinforcement of your presence and our support for each other. I have my rock with me all the time. At least, that's the way it seems. And faced against the things we face, I'll take any advantage I can get. But there is no doubt in my mind that at some point, it is going to start burrowing in. Especially if I'm not exactly at my best, because I'm trying to figure this out.
There's a great deal of wisdom in what you say. But that seems harder still to grasp, the idea that those people who bring us strength and support our spirits from far away are also somehow our vulnerability and our not
They
weakness, but
they aren't. But that is the nature of this thing, is to make you think that it is or can be a weakness. It is to turn that confidence into doubt.
You've given me a great deal to think about, Tawny. Thank you. I need to find... There must be some way to fight against this. Just... I wish these, and she holds up her axes, could cut through shadows the way they cut through orc flesh, but I don't know how. Anyway.
A single blossom out here could change a lot. But we don't have time to grow anything. And I don't know how well it would anyway.
River nods and looks towards Inga, figuring, just seeing her get closer.
Okay. So, excuse me. So you have this conversation, you see what Inga has done with the body, and you would all have to catch up with her, I think, or not, it wouldn't take long, but she's marching off kind of.
I thought she was marching back towards us, but okay.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
she's more like, we have dealt with this place, let's go.
Okay.
Like her attitude, she's like, yeah.
Which Robar's
Disturbed.
probably looking off at Inga and then looks back at everybody else like,
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
While they're, when the others, catch up with her, I'm assuming they're gonna look at her like, what the fuck was that?
Mm-hmm.
And Inga's just like, I think the Gibbet King knows we are here.
What?
I guess you didn't see what just happened and why I set that orc on fire, did you?
No, I
Fine.
just thought you'd figured, I don't know, why not set the orc on fire? But
His eyes glowed. And then something came out of him, which I assume was the spirit or whatever that is the Gibbet King.
This was one of the orcs from Selwyn.
Yes.
I wonder. I suppose if you were a dark necromancer and wanted to leave eyes all over the place, then killing your own soldiers and inhabiting their corpses is one way to do it.
His previous body was destroyed, after all.
Mm.
You tell how he died.
His throat was slit.
His throat was slit.
Huh.
Was there
The
a
tracks
large...
we saw, did they lead down the road we are walking right now, or what did that?
They did lead up in that direction, and then, as I say, vanished once
Okay.
it reached the dusty part. But yes, they were heading that way.
Then Inga's gonna say, I think it's better if we get off the road. Because it looks like whatever killed him, or whoever killed him, went the exact same way we are going. So if there are gonna be more orc corpses along that way, then they will be able to keep track of us.
But
One quick point, by the way, just before you answer, just to be clear, you do have good visibility in front of you and see absolutely nothing other than, stones, rocks, valleys, but no sign of any other orcs beyond this. But they were going in that direction, just climbing out of the gully, basically heading in your direction.
Yeah.
So.
Like, especially now that they know where we are.
I don't know. I think that we're out in the open regardless, right? There isn't any cover. We know that this necromancer has all sorts of means of surveillance besides this. There are those, what were they called? The storm crows? Or the...
Yeah, back at Storm Crows.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we should... It seems to me that any decision we make to lengthen our journey is of more danger to us than just staying our route. The longer we spend in this place, the more I think it will start to crush us down.
Agree with that. My curiosity, though, is... Does his garish majesty require a body to occupy? If not, then why do it? Why not simply do what he did when you saw him and take off? Can he only occupy one body at a time? Or was he...
Well, given that whenever we got to speak to him, he was possessing a corpse, I would assume so, right?
Well, then that would mean that he's not going far before he finds something else to cuddle up in.
Yeah, and also it seems that the type of body is important. If he could just, profit from any body he possesses, then why would he bother bringing a specific body with him to the battle at Salduin? If he could have just inhabited any orc corpse there.
But he did inhabit that one corpse in the tavern.
Yeah, but just to speak to you.
Right.
Or did he do anything else? He seemed to have more power when he was possessing the body in the cart. Oh, by the way, Greg, the body, did it look like, did it appear to be the same body we saw at the Dummerhorn?
The thing that was chained?
No. Okay.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
We'll find no answers to these questions here. We should move, but
Well,
something
yes.
to keep in the back of your mind.
But either way, keep your eyes peeled, and if you see any wayward corpses, stay away from them.
Yes.
I wouldn't have thought to do that otherwise. Thank you.
Wayward corpses.
With the darkness of that moment and that image and the warning kind of pressing on you, you proceed forward. And that evening, as you set camp, you know this is the last day that you will have the Northern Dalelands to your west, which are at least vaguely more hospitable, right? You're now heading into the waste proper, and that weighs heavily upon you. I need everyone to make their wisdom saving throw for me, please.
Hooray! I'll never play a character with average wisdom again. Oh, oops, that was not a saving throw. Oh wait, it's the same thing. I don't get any bonuses anyway, so 18.
Okay.
9 for.
Okay.
Or is there a plus to that?
I don't think so. Not for unless, no, not on wisdom. Not on wisdom saving throws.
Okay.
Unless, yeah.
9s galore.
Oh my gosh!
Way
Ah!
down. Tani, what about you?
Oh, watch this.
Ah!
It's like I told you, my family is with. Okay.
I would have been laughed so hard if it would have been a low roll now.
I
watch
was
this.
kind of hoping it was going to be a 1, just
know,
because
right?
it fits so well with what he said.
Oh.
So, River, you gain another, which brings you up to 6 shadow. Robar is up to 3, and as you are there trying to kind of, play and kind of keep your mind off of things, you do notice that Robar seems also to be he's always looking around, and of course he's always taciturn, right? Never particularly effusive, but he seems particularly guarded at the moment, sort of staring off into the waste and around him at all times. There may be a reflection of your feeling within him. By the way, Tani, are you reading or resting this time?
Resting is alternating back and forth.
Gotcha. Okay. And then you're going to eat the honey cake the next day, just so I know?
Mhm.
Okay, got it. So that should leave you with 8 honey cakes now, I believe?
Correct.
All right. Okay. So if you can, I just wanted to mention that you did notice that. The others seem to be less affected this evening, anyway, by the images that you have. One thing that you notice, though, River, as you're playing the harp, is you hear at one point the sound of what sounds like a voice that's harmonizing but discordantly with you. And as you kind of stop for a moment, kind of like to just hear what the heck that might have been, it sounds almost like the voice of Ash, which just sort of fades on the wind.
Is that discordantness like the same quality from the previous night?
Yes.
Yeah, there's that. It is going to make her more furious. Still, there's there's the kind of deadening lead feeling of weight from the shadow, but there is also this just how dare you kind of
do that
fury.
To me. Yeah, oh yeah.
And she tries very hard to just hold on to the things that Tanya was saying, but it tonight resolves into making her think of how many people are far away and stuff, and anyway, she tries to kind of just bring herself back, but it's not working tonight, and she just ends up kind of burying her face in Stone's neck and taking deep breaths.
And you can hear his, feel the warmth of his body, hear the sort of beating of his heart, and then occasional, maybe just tiniest, lowest little whimpers in the back of his throat. Just a bit.
I think there's something that River is also going to do, which is as she's feeling this like this weighing rage, like that she just is like the frustration of something with greater strength than her kind of like pushing down on her. She's going to like she's going to take out her axes and look at the runes on them.
Okay.
And sort of just like trace the runes over with her fingers, and look at her harp and sort of just wonder about them, and just kind of like, just with her finger, not like scratching them in or anything, just sort of to see how it would feel, tries to kind of like trace the same runes onto the back of the harp, the part that she like lays against her chest.
Okay. Did you say actually carve? I'm sorry, like just
no,
just
she's not.
tracing
She's
the runes.
just
Okay.
tracing the runes, just
Got
to
it.
see how it feels, like
Okay.
just to try, because she, I mean, these runes are supposed to be like flame of hope and
Right.
gleam of terror and runes of victory and stuff like that, and so she's just trying to like, I don't know, like hold on to anything that can be a symbol or something like that. And,
Okay.
yeah.
And as I say, the sense of the sense that you have of you and the harp being united against whatever it is that weighs down upon you is palpable. The harp does not feel foreign to you in any way, but it is, you know, a small light, though a light is important, is a small light against a great darkness. And so you're aware, I guess, of both the scope of it, but still there is a comfort there. And you can feel that the harp has not lost tune, and that is of comfort also.
This is terrible weather for harps.
It's bad harp weather.
Bad harp weather.
Okay. When the next morning arrives and you set out, as I mentioned, you set off into the gloom of the waste, and the wind has gotten louder. The dust kicks up even higher. And it is right around what you think is probably, there's no sun today. It is all gray and overcast and dim. And probably about, again, early afternoon, 1 or 2 o'clock or so, you come across a stagnant pool of brown water. And by the side of the pool is a figure. Now, at first it looks like this figure is a spindly, leafless tree that is covered in dead moss and ivy, which itself would be notable because you haven't seen anything, you know, even vaguely that used to be a tree for a while. But as you draw closer, the figure turns, and you can actually see...
Robar has knocked an arrow and is ready.
Okay, and
He's
you
just
see
like,
and you see a face. I'm going to put this up on stream, in fact.
Maybe it's an ent. Wouldn't it be nice if it was an ent? A nice
We have
Wouldn't that be
ent.
great?
We have reached the end times.
Ah,
Jeez.
we have reached the end of our journey.
Oh,
Incredible.
man. You guys are barking up the wrong tree.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll be here all the week. Okay.
leave us alone.
Oh, man. It's too
Would
good.
you stop it already?
Oh, nice. Listen, my jokes are rooted in good ones, all right? So just think about
Oh!
He's waiting for Root to come up.
that. I'm pulling my sub. Okay, here we go. This is what
That
you
totally
see.
does look like an ent. Are you joking?
And this, you can see that, in fact, what this looks like is an immensely old woman. Her skin is brown and wrinkled, and her thin body is hunched over with what must be a lifetime's work. Her eyes are old and sad, and as she looks kind of at you, she looks utterly mad. She stands with her feet immersed in the brown water, and she sways gently back and forth, sometimes trailing her thin fingertips in the pool. And she sees you and sort of waits. She's just sort of half standing, half sitting, trailing her fingers in the water.
River like sort of puts a hand out to Robar and looks sort of like just. I mean, there's
as he feels the brushing, he's like, "You're right. Fire would be."
no down. No.
Inga's just like, so that's what happens when an elf loves a tree a bit too much.
What if it's an ant wife? What if it's an ant wife? Oh no. No.
Moisturize.
Moisturize me. No. River. River calls out and says, "Well met, stranger. Are you all right?"
And let's see. She looks back and she says,
Tawny immediately translates to.
she looks back and says, I had a name once, yes. I was all right, but it's gone now like all the rest. Yes. All the rest are gone. The rest are gone.
And the bowstring starts tightening again.
This is technically an audience, by the way, River. So I'm going to ask
Oh.
you here in a minute to make a traditions check to introduce.
Oh,
the group.
okay.
Time to play concert for your audience. Hey!
All right. Gosh. Traditions, you say? Do I have a lot of those?
Also, his intelligence, but
yeah.
it's
So River will step forward, and this is like, am I right here in thinking that she like this creature does not seem very of this place?
No, I would not say that.
No.
Well, how do I define this? It's definitely not like anything you've seen to this point. That's for sure. But in a way, the dust that covers the ground is the same dust that covers this creature. It might have been something of this place before it became the waste. It seems very ancient, but so yeah.
But it
I mean,
doesn't
I
feel-
will say it stands. Yes, I will say that it does not have the same reflective. It doesn't feel like shadow to you.
It doesn't
at
feel
all.
like shadow,
No,
right?
no,
Okay, that's the main thing.
definitely not.
River steps forward and
She kind of slightly, not recoils, but she's sort of like,
she steps forward from the group essentially. Yes,
Yeah.
and just and bows and says, "I'm the River of Rosgobel, and these are my companions." And she introduces each of them. Will she ask anything further? She'll say, "Is there any assistance we can render you while we're here?"
Assistance, you say? Okay, let me make have you make the traditions check here. You can add +1 to this, please.
It's 15.
15, okay. So, let's see. That's okay. She sort of stares at you and then says, wonder what you are, though. You could be something. Come close. Come close, child. Come close and talk. Talk to Witherfinger. Come. And the aforementioned Witherfinger beckons you with her long black fingernails.
Great. This is great. Well, River is going to go forward. I think it's a terrible idea, but River is going to go. She's going to step forward.
Yeah, when Inge sees River stepping forward, Inge like jerks forward and holds River's arm and like looks her in the eyes like, "Are you sure?" Like not saying it, but like her eyes are.
Come.
River looks at Inge and nods and says, "Yes."
and Inge, let's go.
So there's essentially like my sense here is that River sort of feels about this woman tree person, Witherfinger, the way she felt about the stones, which is that there is like this, there is shadow, which she knows the feeling of, but then there is this sort of strangeness that that is unfamiliar but not evil, and that she wants to like respect and meet on its own terms, because she takes hospitality very seriously, and they are passing through lands that are not theirs and not known and stuff. So that's kind of the spirit animating this going, like her moving forward and stuff.
Okay.
There's always a sort of impetus towards finding allies against the thing that she intimately and inherently knows the feeling of as evil. And in this case, anything that doesn't feel that way, even if it's dangerous, feels like something worth trying to get to know. So that is why she steps forward.
And she waits kind of quietly, again, trailing. You hear her occasionally, like doing this tuneless humming to herself as you come up close to her. And she looks at you and then kind of tilts her head and holds out her hand, and then runs her withered fingers over your face. And her fingers are covered with these wispy hairs. They almost feel, though, like tendrils or like wriggling worms. And as she's sort of caressing your face, you feel these things, kind of these hairs forcing themselves, not forcing like death, but like into your ears and nose and mouth. And I need you to make a wisdom saving throw as you're going through this.
Yeah. I don't know. Does anyone want to inspire a wisdom? Wait, does that work? I can't remember.
Sure.
Does
anyone want to inspire the River to stay calm as she's having these tendrils enter her mouth, etc.?
Actually, I'm asking, but at the same time, honestly, I don't know that inspiration actually comes into this. So maybe, narratively speaking, perhaps not.
Well, we'll see. We'll give people a second or two. See if they're going to do it. Chat
Remember,
deciding.
This is a leap year, so you've got an extra day.
In February.
In February.
Which has fewer days, but yes. Waiting. All right. It looks like chat is content to allow you to endure.
See, you've got this.
So, okay. So
when I say this, I mean worms in your mouth.
Yeah,
yes, exactly. So I'm guessing what's your reaction then, River, as you feel this?
Here's the thing. I think that there is, the way I want to interpret this is just a kind of like surrender to it, essentially. Like there is this, like, I mean, it's horrifying.
Yeah,
it's clearly going to give a shadow point. Awful, but I think she's just going to like choke slightly on it, but like not recoil or move away, just kind of like, yeah.
Then I'll give you a bargain then, River. If you want, you can submit to it and take the shadow point, but you will remain completely calm.
Versus, wait, what's the bargain?
Versus recoiling and not gaining a shadow point, but recoiling.
Oh. No, she'll take the shadow point. I think it's what makes sense here.
Okay.
When we're done today, you and I are going to have a little talk about the limits of hospitality.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So you do so. You gain a shadow point, but you stay calm, and after what feels like minutes, but probably is only a few seconds, she pulls back and then says, "Not an orc then. Not an orc. Not one of them. Good. So, you're safe then. Who are you? Not your names. Tell me why you're here. What you are is what you do. Tell me why you're here. Tell Witherfinger, tell her."
River's like...
She's kind of already like unfocused, not quite looking at you.
River says, after coughing slightly and trying to just clear her head, she says, and trying not to think about told you we weren't orcs. But anyway,
Didn't believe you till now.
No. She says, we're traveling through the waste to the mountains to I'm looking for the
Zarakenbar.
Zarakenbar.
That thing.
We fight to we're traveling in order to fight this shadow that is spreading over the lands.
Oh, Shadow's always about, dear. Always. Darkness creeps all the time. Yes, shadows in pools and shadows around. I see them all the time. Yes. What were you saying, dear?
We're trying to help our families and people and those we care about by... And she has to kind of pause for a second because it's sort of hard to remember.
Yeah. Yeah, just a moment to note how weird all this is. Right?
Yeah.
As all you're watching this tree thing.
Yeah. We're trying to fight this evil that keeps finding us no matter where we are. So that's why we're here.
And
Are you of this place? Are you of these lands?
I am. Witherfinger is above and beyond and below. I am part of the land here. Oh, not all here though. Before they came, the dragons, yes, I was part here then. Oh, it was the elves. The elves who woke me in the past. But they're gone now, dearie, gone. They're gone. Now just Witherfinger lies and waits and stands and walks and sees and sees. Oh, your harp is shiny. And she kind of looks in, peers with these deep black, almost fathomless eyes, and the branches on the top of her head kind of slither forward and kind of blink and play just one string on the harp, and then she claps. Oh,
Would you like me to play you a song?
Oh, a song, yes, that would be a song. Oh, they sang not evil songs, no, not songs of war, not war songs, no, when Witherfinger was young and sang together, I would love songs. And she kind of has her eyes half closed.
She, River says, I'll play you an elven song. And she sort of,
And she nods.
she kind of kneels on the ground in order to play the harp. Usually she would need a seat of some kind, but in this case, she's just kind of kneeling, and she takes a deep breath and tries to imagine those runes in her head again, and starts to play.
Okay.
Inga joins her.
Any focus on the songs that you two are playing? Like any
So
particular theme?
What River is going to play is a song she kind of keeps coming back to that that Elbereth, not Elbereth, that Irame was singing with her, and like the things that she learned about Elven harmonies and things like that while they were traveling together.
Okay.
And if there's like, I don't know if River knows about it. Obviously my Tolkien nerdery is ever present, and I'm trying to not confuse my Tolkien nerdery with River's lack of such. But if there's an elven song that is actually about trees, then that is what she would want to play. Like that. Like I'm sure that there are songs that are like names of various trees and things like that the elves have that like get played by people who don't necessarily know what they mean and stuff. But
Okay.
so but something that is like I'm imagining a sort of a lighter-hearted naming song of trees or things like that.
Okay. So as you play, she kind of, like kind of hums tunelessly again, rocks back and forth, her eyes closed, and apparently listens to the whole thing, although every so often she opens her eyes and kind of looks down at the pool, or she lifts up her hand and watches as little droplets of water fall from her hand, and she just kind of stares at them, and then and when you're done, she doesn't say anything, as if she's not even aware that you've finished, and then she says, long ago, those were lands from Witherfinger, before they came, and that was over, and now we're here, and no one bothers us here, and yet we're alone without trees, no trees. She kind of trails off, still drifting, rocking back and forth, hands trailing through the water.
Do you remember who named you Witherfinger?
And she kind of hums. No. In the beginning was my name. The elves. The elves named Witherfinger in the distant past. That was while the world was young.
I'm so
And
sad.
off behind them, Tawny kind of clears his throat to get the river's attention.
She sort of turns and looks.
And he just sort of casually reaches to his side and just sort of waggles a water skin back and forth and points at her.
River has her own water skin, presumably, and says, are you thirsty? Would you like a drink?
And she... the water here is fine for Witherfinger. No need water. Water is no need except with fire. 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 Orcs. Fire. Fire and orcs. And she gets very agitated suddenly. Like, fire, orcs! And she's like looking around suddenly frantically. Although
As
to be
is
clear,
Robar.
yeah. Well, to be clear,
Yeah.
this does not seem to be reacting to there's an imminent
Yeah.
threat of fire and orcs. It's more like she
No.
followed some memory path, and now
memory,
she's
yeah.
freaking out about fire and orcs. In fact, she's freaking out so much that you may need to calm her, River,
Mm-hmm.
because she's looks agitated, like she's going to jump out of the pool and run.
Right. So River says, "Shh, there's no, they're only friends here. We're only friends here." And just kind of starts playing again while she's there next to her and stuff, and tries to kind of. I think she's going to find herself playing something that she's written actually, and just something that kind of brings her comfort periodically. So something that she was writing for Ash, basically, and that. Right. So she's gonna start playing something else that's kind of like warm and like kind and gentle, essentially.
A gentle warmth.
A gentle
not
warmth.
fiery warmth.
Make a persuasion.
Persuasion
Oh.
check.
Oh shoot.
Oh no, what?
Hold on a second.
Okay.
We I think it's inspiration is what it is. I'll give yours back.
Oh.
There we go. I added it back, Hilness. Hilness is trying to figure out who had inspirations, and then he's like, he put in the alphabet, so.
Gotcha.
So yes, make a persuasion check for me, please. As you're doing that.
25.
Okay. So she, that seems to calm both you and her, and she sort of calms down, and she says, He passed by here a few days ago. I hid from them, though. I'm very clever at hiding. I hid long, long ago in a place where no one would ever find me. I saw them, they did not see me. Oh, what did you ask me again, dearie? No, you haven't asked her anything yet.
I mean, I asked her about her name, but
Yeah,
that was
but I mean, like...
before. Yeah.
Oh, yes! And she cuts you off. Like, she's just sort of like, what I saw! I saw orcs. Such orcs as I have not seen in an age. Going north towards the mountains. They carried a heavy chain. And I could smell dark magic upon it. Oh, darkness and sadness there. Yes.
Why do you stay here with her fingers? Why not go towards the forest in the west?
The forest is where the fire was. The forest is where they burned. Here I am safe. No one finds me here. I hide, and I am by myself, but safe. And my memories keep me company. Perhaps when the shadow is lifted, I can return. When orcs are dead and gone and fire a memory. Yes, when just a memory.
Her is just extremely moved by this, and tears are trickling down her face, and she stands from her harp and just says, "The shadow will be lifted. It will. And we will do everything we can to lift it."
He just kind of rocks back and forth, doesn't acknowledge what you said. She says, eventually, "Stay just with me, dear. all of you should stay and hide with me. I know hiding places. Stay with me, and the orcs will not find you.
River sort of shakes her head and says, "Thank you, but there's not to be gained for us by hiding. We have fighting to do."
Oh, fighting. Where will you fight, dearie? Where fighting?
In the mountains.
No, that is... And she points over her shoulder towards the gray mountains. That is a dangerous land. No one in their right mind should go there. There are huge snow trolls which prowl there, fighting and eating each other. Horrible, dangerous things, creatures made by the enemy in the elder days. They'll eat you in 2 bites and come after me for dessert. No, it's much safer for you to stay here and hide with me instead.
Well, we weren't after safety when we set out into these lands, so I'm afraid we must keep going. But it was good to meet you, Witherfingers, and I hope to meet you in fairer days and better cheer than this.
And she kind of hums a little bit. I need you to make now, please, for me, a final audience check. So you can do this using either persuasion or riddle. I don't even know if you have that.
I think persuasion.
Persuasion would probably be the better one. So go ahead and make that persuasion check for me, please. I will ask you to add. I'm glad that this is the case. I was going to have you add +2.
Okay, so 16.
Okay. So, she, as you're about to leave, she says, when you go into the mountains and you see the trolls, remember they slumber during the day, but they're awoken by the smell of prey. Stay down the wind, dear, a wind from each of the caves where they live. You can creep past them without waking them. Tread softly, softly. And when you pass through and look out over the withered heath, light no fire and carry no gold. Flame and treasure both bring dragons down upon unwary travelers. All that is bright is death there, dear. And then as you're staring, a dust cloud kicks up, and you have to sort of close your eyes against it. And when you open them, you are looking at simply a bare and dark brown pond. And that is where we will bring our session to a close.
Why are we on this journey? This is a bad journey. I don't like this journey. This journey is bad. It is full of danger and bad things, and I don't like it.
You don't like Witherfinger?
Witherfinger is making me very sad.
She likes you.
Oh, yes, dear. I shall be with you all. But no.
No, it's fine.
I need an adult. I need an adult.
I was so excited to play Witherfinger, though. I was so happy that you folks got there. Yeah, you're about halfway through this journey up to the Watchtower, into the Grey Mountains, I should say. But now you've heard about these other rumors. You got to deal with maybe snow trolls and like all this stuff. And yeah, it's a
dragons,
dark and dragons.
Snow trolls.
It's a dark place. And as a reminder to everybody, we will be starting with after that. We'll be starting on the evening of the 5th day. In fact, you know what? Just so I can get this out of the way, so I don't forget, can everyone do their wisdom saving throws for me, so I can get that out of the way?
No.
What? I already
Too
took
late.
a
You said
shadow
the
point.
session is over.
Yeah.
You said the session is over.
You did.
No more
It's
rolls.
true.
Nah, I'm gonna have you do that anyway. I
already took a
reopened the
shadow
session for
point.
3 seconds.
Natural 20.
See, there you go.
Exactly.
No problem.
Great.
I wonder how the river's gonna feel after having worms and tendrils inside.
Cool. Right. Awesome. Great. Let's see.
Well,
7 for Rovar.
all right, Robar. What's up to? Yeah. 8 shadow points, man. Like Inga's like nothing compared to the shadow points now.
Great.
I mean,
Cool.
Tani, how about you, Tani?
Let's find out. Here's where it falls.
Is this gonna be the final? Is this gonna be it?
This is gonna be.
Nope.
24.
He's like, I will not have a shadow point. I will never have a shadow point.
This is
Oh
a
my-
dream.
It is just a dream. Wow. Yeah, I warned everyone this was super dark. Again, I want to give credit though again to the folks at Cubicle 7. Again, this does such a wonderful job at capturing just the slog, the despair, the waste, the whole thing of the journey is rough. And the party did, I think, very well in handling what is a very difficult part of their journey, as I predicted that it would be. But
Remind me when the particularly nasty consequences start happening with Shadow?
When it is equal to your wisdom. When it's equal to your wisdom, once it passes it, you become miserable, and then really bad things happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So at least, okay. Oh,
What's
we're
your wisdom
halfway
score?
there.
You're at 16. Okay.
It's 16.
Inga,
yeah,
what's
so-
yours, Inga?
What?
What's your wisdom again? Remind me.
11.
Okay, 11. All right.
11!
So 11.
11!
Oh, I love that.
11!
It's the
Yeah.
best clip. All right, so that is so 5 more for that. Okay, and Tani basically is just like, this is great. I'm every time is cheer up, put on a happy face. But anyway, but it was really great. Good work from everybody again today. I will start this time with Amal at the bottom. I'm sorry that you were so dealing with so much shadow, but there's
So
some
much
dark
shadow.
stuff going on, man. It's
So much
shadow. But it was fun to watch sort of the river trying to navigate it, and I do think that your idea of the harp is a good one, and I think it's something which may pay benefits as you go along. But you know, there is a lot of shadow against and darkness against the light. How'd you feel about today? Where were the lovely folks seen?
It was great. It was great. I particularly enjoyed the conversation with Tawny, and like that was a very beautiful way of characterizing, taking something that is really quite random, the allocation of shadow points, via rolls and things, and actually making a really beautiful narrative out of it, that I think makes a lot of sense and will definitely be something that River kind of thinks about and dwells on. Presently, I'm interpreting her absolutely abysmal wisdom saving throws as as a kind of perverse opposite of like, oh yeah, all those people I care about who are far, oh God,
Yeah.
And
all the nice
but,
callbacks, chains, and all this stuff.
Oh yeah,
great.
Exactly. There's definitely a kind of the things from which River draws strength usually are not here. I mean, besides her companions, and I think on some level, like having seen how much Inga was dealing with shadow-wise, and her mom, I think, has made River also want to be as protective there as possible, which involves things like walking up to strange tree women and letting them wriggle things into her face. It's not cool.
Yep.
It's not okay.
It's definitely not. It's not fun. I agree.
Nope. But that is her character. She is dauntless, all right. So and bold. That's another character trait. So anyway, I super loved that conversation. I really very intrigued by Witherfinger. I feel like, again, my Tolkien nerdery is like, oh God, shit, is this what happened to the Entwives? Or this particular Entwife? I don't know, but no, I thought this was great. Extremely upsetting, very affecting, very very scary, and sure would be great to have some actually surefire mechanical way to remove or resist shadow points that wasn't just a saving throw. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, it's a good thing. Where people can find me, you can find me on Substack. So it's like my newsletter, amal.substack.com. There's also I'm on Twitter at Tithenai, Tithenai. And I have this book. This
awesome
that one
book.
too.
Yep.
This book. This is How You Lose the Time War, that I co-wrote with Max Gladstone, is out in the world. It is it's out in hardcover now. If you are a nerd about such things like I am, you may want to grab it because soon the paperback will come out, and then that will mean that there will be fewer hardcovers. So yeah, but if you want to pre-order the paperback, you can certainly do so from anywhere books are sold. Yeah, that's basically me.
Good stuff. Thank you, Mal. It's always a great pleasure. Moving right on up the line, Terry. So as I had said, you did not have as much personal, sort of like sadness to deal with. You just had sort of general shadow, like watching glowing lights in orc's eyes and things like that coming along. How'd you feel about today?
How nice for a
Road
change.
Yeah, I know. Just pleasant eyes. How about nice eyes? How'd you feel about
just
today?
like no personal dread.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I got to burn a dead orc, so that's always nice.
That's true.
Making some bacon.
That's true. Delicious orkin.
So,
Orkin.
But question is
no,
soft
brain.
or crispy?
No, stop it.
I don't know if I even want to know
would
what
you
your
like
brain
to
is
share
thinking.
with the class?
Orkin beans.
Oh.
Orkin beans. Oh, yes.
Oh, I don't
There's
get
that Chamber of the Winds again.
Good. Don't get it. Just don't.
I want to.
No.
I demand.
No. Later on, you can look up Van Camp's pork and beans, and it'll be fine. Later, finish your outro.
But yeah, like it's so fun, like that what we all assume what is an end wife, because like just the other day I was discussing end wives with my boyfriend, so
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
so that's the thing. Like what happened to them? Like we had this heated discussion about
Mm-hmm.
theories and stuff, and it's just like,
Yep.
yeah, stuff. So yeah, nice that like Inge didn't have to face any personal trauma today. Also, I super enjoyed that conversation that Trent and River had.
Yeah, same.
Tony and River had.
Yeah.
Always mixing up those names because they both are short and both start with a T. So.
Where can the people find you next?
Here and one of the next Tuesdays. I don't know, next week or the week after.
Yes, not next week. It'll be the week after, probably for our game illustration stream. Although that partly depends on what the other Tolkien folks here decide they can do for Tuesdays. But we'll talk about that.
But yeah, at some point I will be here again.
Mhm.
And other than that, people can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at TariToons. So yeah, follow me there.
Good stuff. Thank you.
And very occasionally I do art live streams over on my
Yes,
Twitch,
should
which
do
is
so
also
less
TariToons.
occasionally, but that's listen. I mean, that's all right. No, it's always enjoyable to see those, and always enjoyable to have Terry with us, and you will see her back here, as I say, in March for stuff for our Tolkien Tuesdays, as we like to call them. Unfortunately, Will Jones was not with us today. I hope everything was okay. I think it was probably just a schedule snafu. We will talk to him, but he runs the Kobold Press Twitch channel, and is also, of course, on Encounter Roleplay. That channel is still existing, plays Robar Staunton, so I look forward to having him back with bells on next time that we play next month. Tren, one thing I wanted to mention also was, were you planning to read the book? Because I think if you were alternating, you were planning to read the book on the night of the fourth day? Because if so, you should do that also, probably. The night of the fifth day. You should probably do that also, just because I wanted to make sure that when we start... Yeah, because when we start next time, I want us to start the morning of the sixth day, if we can.
How fortunate that I did not close Roll20.
Oh, shoot, sorry.
No, I didn't close Roll20. I've got it open.
Sorry, what are we supposed to do in Roll20? What?
This is just Tren, unless you want to help him. But
Tawny
this was
reading
him
the book.
Reading the book was the other thing on that night. So you could give him that, like, if you want, you could give him that die, that gift.
Give him that die for sure.
So that's a +8.
It's a
Or
1d8.
D8.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, like,
Bit of a difference between those two.
Yes.
depending
Indeed.
upon how I roll.
Unless you roll very well, yes.
Yeah. 21.
okay.
Yes.
You
I would've
win
been-
various prizes, the Phyllis Franklin Endowment for the Humanities Art Award, and da-da-da-da.
Actually, I'll tell you one thing. Hey, the thing that River wanted to ask Tawny before that didn't seem appropriate when Inge was setting orcs on fire was to ask if there was anything in what he was reading about enchanted harps and stuff. So or like if he knew anything about enchanted harps and stuff as well. So
Not from
if-
this book that he's been able to find, but it's up to you, Tani, about if you.
Well, there is a small excerpt in the front end papers, which is an odd phrase. Front end papers. Anyway, I think I'm translating this properly. It says, "The dwarves of yore made mighty spells, while hammers fell like ringing bells. In places deep where dark things sleep, in hollowed halls beneath the fells. Goblets they carved there for themselves, and harps of gold where no man delves." So there is some mention.
Great. Thanks.
Awesome. Well worth saying.
Yeah.
Roll a d6 for me, please, Tren.
Okay.
Roll a d6.
How fortunate that I didn't close roll 20.
Again, didn't close roll
I
20. You'll be able to after
close
this.
it, but
You'll be able to after this.
3.
So, as you're doing your reading, the other thing that you discover, having gotten through the constant descriptions of various types of rock, is that there was also a secret vault that was built, a treasure vault, built when the tower was first carved out of the mountain, and that it is in the last bedchamber on the left. You don't know what that means, but last bedchamber on the left, and the entrance to this vault is hidden in the floor. So there is a secret treasure vault in this watchtower. And also you have a level of exhaustion, as we've talked about before. Okay,
It's a
now
good thing I
that I
roll
got
20.
now that I got that out of the way, I wanted to make sure that I had that set for our next time. So, other than that, Trent, it was fun watching some of this stuff. And again, it's amazing to me narratively how I agree with what both of you, both Terry and Amal, have pointed to, which is that conversation was really great, in part because it fits entirely with why he would not have been weighed down the same way that everyone else has. So that was really a nice, lovely moment of role play, and I think kind of set off the rest of this rather dark, depressing, everything is, wasted and blasted type of thing. So I was enjoying watching that play out. How'd you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks see you next?
I was asleep for part of it. No, I wasn't asleep, but there were moments where I was close, which is not to indicate that this was in any way boring.
No, I know. It's just, yeah.
Not thrilling. I'm just really damn tired.
Yeah.
I have like 2 points of exhaustion to Tawny.
Yes, indeed.
So I suspect that by next month, because we're not playing whatever this game is again this month.
Oh no, we totally should, because I haven't used my inspiration this month.
Well,
You'll just have to stop by some other D&D session and use it to help Trent on Saturday or whatever.
maybe on Saturday, yeah.
That's right. I actually totally forgot I could do that. But yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah.
Or just give me your password and
No.
I'll make sure that it happens. Anyway, so yeah, I'll be here on Saturday for more Curse of Strahd goodness or badness, depending upon one's point of view, as we climb into the mountains and deal with. No, I think we've dealt with the bridge, or we're at the bridge, or
Past the bridge.
past the bridge, or some bridginess thing, substance doohickey, whatever, having blown a tree apart with Eldritch Blast. Not
man.
me. I didn't do it.
Chunk.
Anyway.
Yep.
And if our paladin hadn't been a flock of crows, everything would have been fine.
Exactly. This would never have happened. Exactly.
Whatever. So where can people find me? It'll be here Saturday. If that's not good enough for you, then feel free to swing by Audible and pick up the audiobook that we released like 3 weeks ago, I think. It's a BattleTech novel called Forever Faithful by Blaine Lee Pardo, narrated by moi.
There it is. Buy this audiobook. Support Trending. You can see it right there. It's Forever Faithful.
That thing right there.
Yeah.
It's a fun one. And, I'll be continuing to work on the Shadowrun novels that I'm working on right now, and I can't tell you anything about them because of NDAs. So, haha, neener.
So take that.
Yes.
Good stuff, Trent. And yeah, Hilna says I've been loving that book so far, listening to it while driving. Well, thank you, Hilna. It's very good stuff. Can confirm. Can't wait for you all to hear what he did on Greyshade. It's amazing. Can't wait. But that will all happen down the line. So many thanks to everyone. I'm going to let them go because I got to close up shop and get ready for the next T&D session that I'm doing over in GOG in about a half hour. So I will say wonderful work from the players today. I cannot wait for you all to be back next month. So I will say check we get some love and say goodbye to Trendane for now. Will Jones will see you back here next month. Of course, Terry Tunes, great stuff from Terry and great stuff from Amal as always. Good luck with the rest of the marking period, with the rest of the study period. Bye, everyone, and see you all soon.
Hello.
All right. So that is going to do it for this session for today. I was absolutely loving it. I was really enjoying the prospect of actually doing the whole Witherfinger thing in the first place, of like actually getting a chance to play Witherfingers. I'm just like, I hope they get there, and they did just get there, so that's great. And again, it's just going to get more intense as time goes on because they are in a blasted land, and Adventures in Middle-earth does not joke around when it comes to blasted lands. They are not messing around. But that is going to do it for me for today, at least I should say for this session for today, but it does not do it for me overall, because I'm going to be over at GOG in about a half hour. At 4 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be there for D&D with GOG, Storm King's Thunder on Pen and Pixels. We'll be continuing with Storm King's Thunder. That has also been great, and that party is also dealing with a very different kind of problem, but they're in the middle of this forge, and they're trying to find these fire giants, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going down. So that's going to be happening over there. I'm looking forward to that. And then, again, I need to confirm this evening. You love playing Witherfinger. Indeed, I did like playing her. Yes, I enjoy playing Witherfinger. Just no ED. It's current. It's Witherfinger, like presently withered. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to be over there at 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. Eastern. Then tonight, my hope is that I'm going to be back here with your vocalists, playing Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. I don't have final confirmation on that yet, though. So I can't absolutely promise. It depends on... I have to hear back from a couple people yet about whether that's actually the case. So I should know more about that soon, but I don't have any details about it quite yet. So maybe tonight our vocalists, but definitely we will have, of course, D&D with GOG. Either way, then Wednesday evening, we've got Dragon with Icespire Peak, and then I'll be back on Friday for more awesomeness with the live broadcast from Farpoint, and then Saturday evening, of course, with D&D with Infinity and Beyond, Curse of Strahd live with the power of our Box 2 from Farpoint 2.0 from Farpoint. So that's what we've got going on. But right now I got to get going and head on out of here. And so the last thing I want to check here is what we had. Last chance to get in your votes on the Chat Chosen Game of the Month is your last chance. It's your final opportunity to get in your vote. Right now it looks like Heroes of Might and Magic 3 and Metal Gear Solid 3 are tied up with Growlancer 2 in the background. Tied up. So we need someone to break this tie, people. The next vote for one of those is going to break the tie. Heroes of Might and Magic 2 or Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. We need one more vote. We need one more vote. So someone needs to weigh in. Heroes of Might and Magic 3 or Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater needs to come in. Needs to be locked in. Heroes of Might and Magic 3 has slightly edged out Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. All right, I'm closing this down in about 10 seconds. 1, 2, well, I'll go the other way. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All right, Heroes of Might and Magic 3 is the winner. Heroes of Might and Magic 3 will be the game of the month. That'll make it very easy for me because I won't have to buy it. That means because I already have that game. So I will happily play that next week. And for those of you who wanted me to play Metal Gear Solid, fear not. Remember, you can always nominate it for next month. It almost won this month, so it can always come back and win next month. But I will definitely agree with the will of chat, and that's fine. I have no problem playing that. I'm a big fan of that. So we are not going to feast on a tree frog. But that's going to do it for me. I am very happy that we had a really good session today after Bosco, and I'm looking forward to the next one. So Are these Metal Gear quotes? Is this what we're looking at here? But I want to thank everyone for being here. Really awesome time today. If you haven't already done so, please follow the channel. Check out the YouTube with !ArvTube. Subscribe to me over there. Discord !ArvCord. Twitter !ArvTweets. Website for that is arvanelleron.com. On the financial side, !ArvShop for some of Terry Toon's amazing illustrations with the Adventures of Middle-earth crew. Then we have D&D with Infinity and Beyond merchandise as well, and soon to be Esper Genesis stuff. Also, what is this? Oh, yes. The soundtrack. Yes. I will at some point. Wait, what? Wrong song. Ignore. Okay. But anyway, so what is this? Why do I care about this? I don't. Okay. But, and then, like I said, financial !Arv Shop. For merchandise, !Arv Treon, the Patreon, which allows you to inspire players, get cool stuff for yourself, cool stuff for others. And last but certainly not least, that sub button. Thanks for those of you who subbed today. Please consider jumping on board. If you haven't subbed, please do that, and that would be much appreciated. And don't forget about the publishing stuff, !Library for Forbidden Library, !Icarus for my graphic novels, and Gray Shade KS for my Gray Shade Kickstarter coming next month. Let me check this. I think that's the same. Isn't that the same thing you just linked? I think it's the same thing. Hold on as I get through this thing. 3, 2, 1. All right. Oh, yes. The James Bondish thing. Okay, it's not the same one. All right, I'm going to have to listen to that later on, but the James Bondish theme of Metal Gear Solid. I will happily play that at some point in the future without a problem. I would happily do that. But that's going to do it for me. Thanks, everybody. I got to get going here. Thanks so much to my wonderful mods, Arudinel, Hillness, of course, Terry Toons. I'll come back to Terry in just a minute. Thank you to my wonderful subscribers, Arudinel, Hillness, Terry Toons, Arinth, and Trendane. Thank you as well to my viewers, Alfred Judicus, another TT viewer, Barnaby J, Commander Root, Darken Wolf, ECAG, Gorgar, Kitra, Lemonade, Mubot, I guess, Oberon, Questionable Results, Repels, Rhiannon, Scumshop, U Christensen, and Virgo Praz. Special thanks today to Trendane, to Terry Toons, and to Amal Elmatar for their wonderful play. Thanks, everybody. And with Terry giving you that Snake Eater soundtrack in your ears, I will catch all of you lovely people soon. Everyone have a good one, and I'll see you in about a half hour, a little bit less than that actually now, over on GOG for D&D with GOG, Storm King Slender. Until then, everyone be good to each other. Have a good night.